funny. She should not be behind the wheel of a car.
So, you should be. She was great until 105 when she started. She died at 109.
Mm.
So you got good.
109. That is awesome.
When she passed away, we had people out of the country, and so we held off on Christmas, we held off on her service. Then my father got ill, and he passed away 6 weeks later, and we had the service. He and his mother together. He does that when I was a car wreck.
Has she first lived
Let's see.
She outlived, she only had 2.
So we're gonna start, and we'll make a few remarks. And maybe that's what we'll go first. Share some district data, district information, and then we'll jump right into the story. Everybody's gonna be looking for 4 hours. She's sick. And she's not gonna be able to. Yeah. Right. We're gonna see the flags back there.
These are the signals in my job. Think of something to use.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'd rather get Oreos, but there's no milk. And then I was always black.
Yeah, I know, but you gotta eat the one end and then eat the middle. And eat the other, like you got 3 cookies.
So this is Carolyn Stewart's first time, and the Shakur, right?
Shakur.
Shakur?
It's Shakur, really, Shakur. Shakur.
Shakur? Okay,
Well, just in case you show up.
okay.
His mother was the secretary of Infield.
Okay, I just sent a message. We are connected. They can hear us. Everybody, we're live, and we'll start in about 9 minutes.
This is Carolyn Stewart's first time, and Dan's first time. So we'll say.
Craig too. Yeah, Craig Reinhardt too. Craig Reinhardt, that's okay.
Craig.
Oh, my goodness. I don't think of him as a first time. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've always seen him up there, whatever. Yeah. Aaron Park. Yeah.
Be nice. It's my first time.
We don't think you're new. You're just kind of old.
Did you open that back up?
What?
How did I do that? Aha. All right.
So 1 minute. 1 minute.
Clean my hands again. Are the pens clean? Tell y'all.
The pens, they all came out of my office, so nobody's touched the pens you got last time. Well, there are some white.
No, that's okay. No, I'll finish eating.
They're looking at the
It took 2 of us to full days. I said, you still want to take chips now?
Good deal.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it. I know what she wanted. She wanted me to do it.
Can be a therapist. They don't need one. We are on screen. We don't make any faces, people.
Just the one I got.
If we turn the lights and some down, it'll be easier to see.
That's hard.
I don't know, some of them, it's hard to see.
Yes.
What is it?
She wanted to dim some of these. So let's see, this is that way, this is this way. So I think it's this one.
I think it's.
I think there's this big one right here too.
This is horrible.
Maybe go the next row back.
Horrible. We took 12:30.
That's better.
There you go.
You're getting better.
That's everything out up here.
What about this row?
Let's go see if we can do. That too light? You gonna go to sleep?
You're doing better, much better.
Is that good?
We can read the names. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I did. Yeah.
That's right.
Special board meeting of November 23rd will come to order. Roll call, please.
Karen Collins,
Present.
Carla Egan,
Present.
Shannon Harold,
Here,
Jessica Jean, Carl Wakeman.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Carl could not be here, so I will be your leader today. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Henry. Tell us where we're going to go next.
Thank you. So today we have a presentation for our district and our school data reports. As you all know, it's going to be a little different than normal, not only due to COVID, but we did not have state assessment last year, so the data you're going to see and hear a little bit about is just a little bit different. But our schools and our district data, we still have lots of data to share, and our schools have worked very hard to make sure that we have continued progress for our kids, and I think you're going to see and hear a little bit about that today. Also, everybody listening, I'd like to encourage everybody once again to make sure you mute while you're not speaking today. And I want to say a special thank you to all of our principals and all of our team here for the work they've done preparing these reports and leading during this very challenging time. Also, while we're having a board meeting on site, our presentations are virtual today, just like our virtual presentation by the health department last week. And we do have 3 new principals doing this for the first time today. Dan, Craig, and Carolyn. This will be their first time sharing. And it'll be unique for you all since it's virtual for the very first time. I would like to say that we have had a good year. All things considered, we've had an extremely good year. I think our district's done a wonderful job implementing the guidelines and making sure that we're doing what's best for kids and staff and families at all times. I know it's been a little bit of in-person, synchronous. We got some full-time synchronous, full-time virtual. But what I want to share with the board today before we ask for the data report is just simply that we've maintained a growth mindset and ask everybody continue to be flexible. And for the most part, our team has been fabulous in doing that. I can't say enough about them. While all at the same time maintaining focus on many of the things you're going to hear about today, to include our MTSS system, to include our safety projects, to include our implementation of our action plan, to include development of our CDIP plan. I mean, we're still going on with a very important work to help us reach our goals, even though we're dealing with this very difficult time. Do you all have any questions for me before we get started with our district presentation? Okay, so today our assistant superintendent over academic instruction, Mary Beth's going to present our district data today, and I'm going to flip over. And I will say that our principals will not, and Mary Beth will not be following the screen today. But if we need to pull up the report, we can. I'm going to have it on the screen. While Mary Beth's presenting them and the principals are presenting, you'll just see the principals. But if we need to refer to the report, we can. All right, Mary Beth.
All right, good afternoon, distinguished members of the Kenton County Board of Education. I'm delighted to be here today to share with you all the success stories that are taking place each and every day in our wonderful schools, and then talk about areas where we continue to strive to grow and improve to make sure that we are making an impact for our students. So as Dr. Webb referenced, it is said that growing and adjusting and adapting builds character. And we've been building lots of character this year, with lots of growing, lots of adjustments and adapting. And adjustments along the way for our school district really started with looking first and foremost at safety for our students, health and safety. And so through that, there was the need to develop the Kenton County School District 2021 Reentry Guidance Document. And we charged our individual schools likewise with creating the same document to make sure that our students, as they reenter back into school with the 2021 school year, that we had safety first and foremost along the way for them. So Dr. Webb, along with the Director of Health Services, and that team have been working diligently, of course, on our COVID-19 dashboard, tracking quarantines, tracking the number of positive cases, and then our testing system as well that's been implemented. Teachers and staff have literally had to become technology experts overnight and talk about growth mindset. That truly embodies what we've done in technology, embodies the term growth mindset. We've had over 800 teachers trained this summer in the LMS of Google that we are utilizing common across the district. We also have adopted the one-to-one technology initiative, and we have over 4,000 Chrome notebooks that we expect to come into the district, new technology integration handbook, and we have revised and or created 3 technology positions to support schools at every single school, 3 for each school. We placed emphasis as well on social and emotional learning this school year with the second implementation in this calendar year of the Terrace Metrics Screener. This lets us know how we're doing with supporting the whole child. And as we brought students back for in-person instruction at the end of September, we emphasized the SEL instruction in our schools, with that taking place in some schools daily, but at least bi-weekly. And we also are supporting our staff with social and emotional needs, offering sessions and support for them as well. So as Dr. Webb referenced, we do not have the traditional data sets that we are used to seeing or familiar with at this time of year. So since you have the report, I'm really going to focus more on the strategies that we are employing to ensure that our students continue to grow and prosper throughout this school year, despite the pandemic that we are in. We continue to use our formative and summative data points, specifically placing emphasis on MAP, CERT, and common assessments. So to work towards making gains and analyzing that data and looking at individual student needs and strength, we have district sets of expectations that we utilize. We have a data-driven PLC process. We have a district-wide disability gap plan to address the needs for students with disabilities. All of this work lends itself to the supports and structures that we have in place around the multi-tiered system of support, MTSS. And we use that system and that process, of course, to help provide interventions and target appropriate instruction for those students who would be in a Tier 2 or a Tier 3 setting. And all of this work is outlined in our district action plan, and that really guides and drives the work that we are doing to support our schools. Through the action plan as well, we have undertaken a curriculum and assessment redesign. And the purpose is to determine the mastery level of state standards for each student. So schools are utilizing these tools that they've developed and created to look at the progress of students and determine quickly where students are at towards making progress towards state standards. We are also developing common assessments and common curriculum maps for our high schools as well. So with our pillars of support, which is also outlined in our action plan, we are targeting priority goals. And schools were able to go in and choose those priority goals, align those goals to their CSIPs that they are creating, use data to determine if they're making progress towards those goals, and we have site visits as well with targeted learning walks that support the school's goal with our academic program consultants, and feedback sessions that our leadership team here attend to support the plans that each school has outlined and move forward. As you may have noticed, our graduation rate was above the state average, but did decrease 1 percentage point. High schools are having monthly meetings to name and claim students, look for those with failing grades, provide interventions with adult advocates, and then also utilize our Career Pathways Handbook as well, with all grade levels. So I hope you also noticed in our data the EL population had a lot of success this year, and we attribute that to the work with our newcomer academies at Turkeyfoot and Dixie. So we have a lot of celebrations. We have a lot to be proud of, everything from our ACT data, advanced coursework, access, organs, our growth mindset with MTSS, our one-to-one technology integration, and all of this is leading to providing a world-class education for our students. So none of this would be possible without the support of the board. So on behalf of myself and my colleagues, thank you very much.
Questions for Mary Beth or any members of our team or myself about the district data or information you received, or any questions you may have?
We get Terrace Metrics. Have they done that since they're back then?
Mm-hmm.
When we have the results.
Yes.
And And then, when are winter math inserts? What are those? January.
Other
We'll
questions?
be able to do those.
We hope.
We hope.
If they're not, are we going to do them, can you do that remotely?
Yes.
You can?
We can.
I don't know how that will work.
We've done some map insert testing remotely already. So,
We have protocols outlined and directions, and we did a lot of that work back in September with our administrators to train and get them set up so that they understand how to administer those assessments from a virtual platform.
so one of the things I would just say very quickly is that, it's great to see when the board makes decisions to provide additional resources, and then we see growth from that decision. And the EEL is one of those decisions. If you recall, in the last 6 to 8 months, we added some staff this year in EL because we were woefully understaffed with our population, and the results have just been really good. So Casey and her team and all of our schools are to be commended for using those resources effectively. So thank you all for that. Any other questions on that?
Do you have any indication? I mean, I know as of right now, they have not indicated that we will not have to do state testing again, but is there been any indications leading that way, possibly exempt state testing again?
So I will tell you the current Secretary of Education has adamantly stated that there would be no waivers of the state accountability. However, it appears there's going to be a transition, and so we are optimistic that there will be more of a understanding view. So we are hopeful that there would be waiving of state tests. Our Kentucky Department of Education has already requested that, but they've just been told no. Everybody's been told no. So we believe that that will be reconsidered, assuming there is a transition, whatever. Any other questions? But I would say, and I said openly, right now, the last thing that the federal government or the state needs to be doing is pushing accountability or state testing. Our people are performing, doing the very best they can. While I'm an advocate of accountability, I'm not so sure that our system's always done a great job of measuring accountability. But right now, I think some of the data that's in here will show you it's really interesting that we really didn't have a drop in CERT and MAP compared to last fall. So we didn't take the state assessment. I guess my message would be, I do not believe educators need state testing to be accountable to kids, because I know our team is phenomenal regardless if we test them. But I do not believe that, I do believe the state will request that waiver with the new administration. We'll see.
Any word on those Chromebooks ever arriving?
Yeah, so we asked that just this Thursday, and apparently it's December. So we went ahead, as I think I stated before, and we're going to go ahead and process ordering next year's now, because it's just taken so long. So right now we're December. Other questions? Okay, the next segment is going to be our elementary school reports. Then we'll take a break of about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll come back and do our secondary school reports. So if everyone's ready, our first one today is Taylor Mill Elementary and Miss Melody Stacy.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, Melody.
Hello. So hello, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to report our progress and share our story. We continue to appreciate the support that you provide us as a board. I sit here as the proud principal of Taylor Mill Elementary School, leading and serving a staff of incredible leaders. In 2019-20, not only did we continue to set lofty goals for ourselves, clarifying our priorities and being intentional about measuring our impact on student learning and achievement, but we built on an already strong teacher leader capacity around effective use of technology. We've committed to being 1-to-1 K-5 this year, and in supporting our staff and student social emotional needs. We've made an endless amount of adjustments to continue to meet the challenges of these uncertain times, and throughout this, we've remained a cohesive team of positive leaders. Our Student Quality School Climate Survey and Terrace Metrics data support that our students know this is where they belong. We are committed more than ever to our core values and purpose, and ultimately our end game, the success of our students. While we are proud that the percentage of our students who met or exceeded their typical growth on reading and math MAP assessment continues to be above the national average, and from last fall to winter, we improved both the percentage of all students and the percentage of students with IEPs above the 50th percentile, we are continuing our work on reading and math proficiency with a specific focus on our GAP populations, economically disadvantaged students, and particularly our students with disabilities. We continue to be focused on both mastery of grade level standards and progress towards IEP goals to ensure we have the correct supports in place for students to meet our high expectations. At the heart of all we've become and accomplished is the fact that we don't hold PLC meetings. We are a PLC, or professional learning community. Because of a continued commitment, years in the making, and evidence of this positive impact on student achievement, we were awarded the recognition as a National Model PLC School, a distinction earned by only 200 schools or districts across the nation. As a Model PLC school, we do three things. We focus on learning, we build a collaborative culture, and we are results-oriented. Our focus on learning looks like a commitment to establishing and maintaining a school-wide culture that demonstrates an unwavering, shared commitment that all children can learn. We focus on the quality instructional cycle in our MTSS structures, and we answer the four critical to four questions during our collaborative meetings. What specifically do we expect all students to learn? How will we know when they've learned it? How will we respond when they are having difficulty learning? And how will we respond when students demonstrate that they have learned it?
Halfway.
We are implementing strategies to ensure all students are thinking and making progress towards one of our school-wide goals of having a high-level task every instructional block every day as measured by HES's cognitive rigor matrix. We are collaborating to analyze student products using this HES's matrix in weekly collaborative meetings. And our focus on student learning also extends to non-academic learning. We are intentionally and systematically providing social, emotional, and behavior supports and leadership opportunities for our students, both in the classrooms and throughout the school. The second thing we do is we build a collaborative culture because we know the driving force behind learning communities is teamwork. As positive leaders, we continue to work on how we work as a team because we know that in order to build a culture of excellence, it takes each of us being excellent in our roles and as a collective team. We moved from stage 3 independent team based on the organizational health inventory given in the spring of 2019 to a stage 5 interdependent team in the spring of 2020. One way our commitment of being a highly effective PLC is evidenced through teacher-developed and owned structures embedded in our collaborative meetings that have become just how we do business. And lastly, we are results-oriented. As reflective educators, we monitor and analyze timely student performance data in order to frequently inform our professional practice, identify strengths and weaknesses that impact student achievement. We use common formative assessment data. One of our school goals is to have 80% of our students at 80 or better, to define and monitor class-wide goals, along with students setting goals and tracking their own data within their leadership notebooks. I am proud of our entire Taylor Mill community. Our staff, our families, and our students continue to meet challenges in a way that helps us support the accomplishments and growth of all of us. And most importantly, we do this together, knowing that our path to greatness is a journey, not a destination, confident that we will continue to meet each challenge as an opportunity to grow, celebrating the milestones along the way and never content to stop.
Very good. Thank you. So we're going to move on and we'll do them all. Then we'll take questions at the end if you have questions for specific schools. Melody, thank you very much. I'm sure there will be some questions at the end. Next we have from River Ridge, Jenna Smitty. We can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me? Excellent. Well, good afternoon. As Dr. Webb said, I'm Jenna Smitty. I'm the principal at River Ridge Elementary School. This is my 4th year as principal at River Ridge, my 8th year at my 4th year as principal, my 8th year at River Ridge, and my 22nd year in education. So I'd like to thank Dr. Webb and our Board of Education for allowing us this opportunity to share and discuss the changes that we have endured over the last 8 months. To say that this has been a challenge would be a gross understatement. And I will say that this is by far professionally the most difficult thing I've ever done, leading a school through a pandemic. And I suspect I'm not alone in that sentiment. However, the biggest lesson that I think we've taken from all of this is the fact that change is a strong catalyst for growth. And by recognizing and leading with this mentality, we've been able to navigate these challenges with success. So we have made, as everyone has, many adjustments to our instruction and our overall functions of our day-to-day school life. I'm certain you'll hear over and over today that one of the biggest adjustments is the drastic increase of the use of technology and technology tools. We are a school that joined the KCSD one-to-one initiative, and again, we do thank Dr. Webb and the board for making this a priority. In addition to joining the one-to-one initiative, our site-based council made some staffing and budget adjustments at the beginning of this year so that we were able to, as a school, purchase several hundred additional devices. So once all of those devices arrive, we will be completely one-to-one. We do hope that that is before the school year is over. But in terms of instructional adjustments, our teachers have been using Google Meet for live sessions with students, similar to what we're doing now. They've incorporated tools such as Whiteboard and Pear Deck to help keep students engaged while online, as well as to collect formative assessment data. Our teachers have implemented a more efficient grading system using Google Forms, and I'm telling you, this has been life-changing. Ask any of them, they'll tell you, because it's given them back some time to collaborate, to analyze data, and to plan instruction. I'd like to give another big thank you to the board for approving the additional supplemental positions to support technology integration, especially the instructional technology coach. Having this position has allowed us to embed ongoing professional learning in our PLCs around tech integration, and really having a teacher leader lead that work has been way more beneficial than having me do that work, so I'm very thankful for that. In addition to the school and instructional adjustments we've made, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our stakeholders and how they have adjusted. Our students have been incredible. They walked into this building on September 28th and they picked up right where they left off on March 13th. They followed the new protocol. They social distance. They don't care if they're eating lunch in the gym or not switching classes. And we've had no resistance to mask wearing. Their resiliency has been paramount, and in many ways, they have been a model in our building for adaptability and embracing change. In addition to our staff and students, a big shout out goes to our families and parents. They've been positive, supportive, and respectful to the changes we've put in place. And I think in many ways, this has strengthened us as a school community. Dr. Webb, was that my halftime warning?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. In terms of data and where we are now and how we move forward, the impact survey that was taken by our teachers last winter indicates that our staff is overall very pleased with the working conditions at River Ridge. We did score above the district and state average in all categories of the impact survey, so we're very proud of that. The school climate and safety data came from our students, and this data, some might argue, is the most important data, and it indicates that our kids feel safe, they like being here, and they know that we care about them. Our access data shows that we're continuing to strengthen our EL program. We did, as Dr. Webb said, add an additional part-time teacher this year to our EL program, and that has been a great help. So thank you for that. 81% of our English language learners grew in their language proficiency last year, and we exited 19% of our eligible students from the program. Now that may not seem like an impressive statistic, but considering that many of our students come to us speaking no English at all, that's a pretty big accomplishment. So our real areas for growth going forward center our general academics in reading and math for all students. Last year we were making some gains in reading and math as evidenced by our math scores. We did take a little dip this fall, which I think is to be expected, but nonetheless, we continue to focus on increasing our overall proficiency. We'll continue some of the work that we started last year with vertical collaboration among teams, aligning instruction to state standards, including the cycle of instruction. We'll continue to refine our process for analyzing our weekly data. We attended some great ELA reading PD this summer that has been very helpful, and we'll continue to closely monitor our special education data to measure progress toward IEP goals and grade level standards. So overall, I believe the changes and the obstacles we've encountered since March have made us stronger as a team. Some days knock us down pretty hard, but when that happens, we get back up, we make adjustments, we put one foot in front of the other, and we move on. So even though our instructional momentum was slightly interrupted, we haven't lost sight of our goals to increase our reading and math proficiency across the board. And finally, the data that we've collected through the impact survey and the climate survey really just confirms what we already know, that RRE is still the place to be. Whether 6 feet apart or not, we're all in this together, and we're making good things happen every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good job. Thank you. And I'm sure there may be questions at the end.
Sure.
Next, we have K Wood, Ms. Kim Mott.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Good afternoon, and thank you to Dr. Webb and the Board of Education for your continued support of Kaywood Elementary and the Kenton County School District. It is my honor to serve as Kaywood's principal. It is my 3rd year as principal and my 20th year in the district. While this past year has certainly brought many challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it has also brought tremendous growth and strength to our school like never before. Our growth mindset remains strong and we continue to persevere and show our true grit as only Kaywood Comets do. Our school has prioritized an intentional and systematic focus on SEL instruction for all students. We have successfully implemented the one-to-one technology initiative to ensure that all students in grades 1st through 5th have access to devices to provide equity instruction while in school or learning synchronously from home. Our teachers have successfully implemented Google Meet and Google Classroom as primary platforms for teaching and learning. Kaywood staff have pretty much redefined the way that we do education. Our school's instructional technology coach is being utilized to work with grade level teams in providing differentiated professional learning in the SAMR model to work towards redefining tasks and products that were previously inconceivable. Our formative data from last year indicates that our intentional focus on our Tier 1 instruction and reading was really starting to have an impact. We saw a 12.5% increase in our 3rd grade students scoring at or above the 50th percentile from fall to winter of last year. Our overall areas for growth continue to be reading for both students, all students and students with disabilities. We still continue to score below the district average in those areas. Some immediate strategies that we've already begun. We're doing monthly special education data digs to analyze and monitor weekly and common assessment data proficiency levels for our GAP students and make adjustments in instruction with that data. We will focus feedback on instructional walks in the area of formative assessments with an intentional focus on adjusting instruction. We continue to refine our MTSS process every day, focusing on alignment and of areas of concern, as well as defining appropriate goals and interventions. As we looked at our common assessment data, we noticed a trend that our K through 2 students are performing better on our district common assessments than our 3rd through 5th students. This year, we have created a new Kaywood data dashboard to monitor growth and proficiency levels of weekly and common assessments in reading and in math. The new dashboard allows us to instantly see the number of proficient students in each grade level and is broken down into gap groups. We have implemented a school-wide celebration badge to recognize levels of students who have 70% proficiency or above, and that we also are recognizing each month those students who have shown growth. About 15% of our school's population are EL students. They are primarily Hispanic. 86% of our students showed growth from the previous year's access scores, and we exceeded our goal for proficiency and above students by 14.5%. Our impact survey results show that 100% of our teachers are using data to inform their instruction, which is excellent. Our areas for growth include improving our overall school learning climate and culture, as those perceptions were below the state average. We are also going to focus on teacher perceptions about the adequacy of school resources, which was also low at 23%. We have conducted a fall survey of teachers to provide input for our leadership team. We are differentiating PLCs, and we are celebrating student growth. Our quality school climate and survey data show that overall our students feel very strongly that they are cared for by adults and they feel very safe at our school. Students believe that adults are doing their best at all times to ensure their success. Our Terrace metrics data shows that 0% of students in 5th grade reported getting bullied at our school for both fall and winter administrations of the test, and 100% of our students report their positive school experiences as a satisfactory or optimal resilience indicator. Areas of growth on Terrace metrics include hopelessness and ostracism, and we will utilize our Terrace metrics curriculum to address those specific areas with our 5th grade students. In conclusion, Our students believe that Kaywood provides a safe environment for them to learn and grow, and that the adults work very hard to ensure their safety and their success. Kaywood continues to maintain a strong growth mindset as we continue to provide a world-class education despite tremendous challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, we'll ask questions at the end, so thank you. Next, we have RC Hinsdale, Dr. Angela Castleman.
Good morning, everyone. I guess good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Angela.
It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you, Dr. Webb. Thank you, honored board members. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with you some updates about RC Hinsdale and discuss the wonderful things that are happening here at our school. I do want to especially just thank everyone for the tremendous support through this pandemic. It is, as we've been hearing, there are lots of challenges to this process, but having the support of our district administration and our board has been just an incredible opportunity to show growth through challenge, and I'm grateful for that. This is my 4th year as the principal of Hinsdale Elementary, and this is actually my 21st year in education. I want to start by sharing that our theme for this school year has been Let's Rise Together, and that's really been something significant that we have all been striving towards, is the opportunity to rise above challenges, and our Hinsdale team has done that. I think as we look at the celebrations that we have, I want to share with you that in order to rise together, we know that it's been a continued commitment to increasing our social and emotional learning instruction, and we've done that. We've shown, our staff has shown tremendous growth with tech tools and just the use of Google Classroom and Google Classroom tools. And it's just been amazing to see how teachers have grown through all of the technology challenges, and our community has been amazing through those technology challenges. At one point, our office staff was just fielding tremendous calls. We were calling them IT support, but I just really can't emphasize enough how much our team has worked together to ensure that the technology support has been available as we've shifted between synchronous and in-person learning. Our impact survey results have been strong. We continue to see our students' success being promoted in those results, and that our school's social learning climate was rated high, and that's been a wonderful advantage to just how we've been able to educate our students. In the Terrace Metrics survey results, we have seen some positive results in the area of school experience and managing student behavior, and we're celebrating those successes. A big part of our work this year, and this started last year and has continued, is really shoring up our processes with our data. We have a lot of things to celebrate with our MAP data in this fall reporting session, with over 75% of our students demonstrating proficiency, and that's been exciting. But we've wanted to shore up some processes with some data tools, and we've done that, and that's carried over into our MTSS processes. We continue to celebrate high attendance and participation rates that have been hallmarks of RC Hinsdale's success. And we know that through our safety data that students reported, 86% of adults work hard to ensure my safety every day. And that's a real testament to the support of our students, and the support of our teachers to ensure the safety of our students.
Halfway.
So as we look at growth opportunities, we have so many successes, but we know that there's some opportunities with our impact survey data to enhance our professional development opportunities and our feedback and coaching. And we continue to partner with our council and also just our team leads to ensure that we are providing the highest level of opportunities in that area. In our Terrace metrics, the opportunity to see, we had a small number of students, but still significant to us, that were saying, gave us feedback about how students are behaving online. So we've tried to shore up some instruction in that way, because We know that students are meeting challenges of interacting online to a level they've never had to deal with. And so we continue to provide that. But more than anything, we continue that process of looking at data and looking at from weekly assessments to common assessments. We just want that to be strong so that we are measuring student success and monitoring student success of all of our learners, including special ed, including our EL students. And we want those processes to be as strong as possible. So with the support of the district, we've been able to put some great things in place. Joe Chavez, I want to give a big shout out to Joe. And he's worked well with Kyle Chevalier, our assistant, to make sure that those things are in place. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to share these updates. And again, we just appreciate all the support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Next, we have from Watts Tower, Tony Procaccino, or as we know him, Mr. P.
Good afternoon, guys. This is Mr. Sorry, somebody's just knocking on the door right at the worst time. But anyway, right, yeah. So, hey, my name is Mr. P. My real name is Tony Procaccino. When I first started teaching, I started off at Beech Grove Elementary, and I taught first grade. I was called Pinocchio, Cappuccino. I said, okay, that's it. It's going to Mr. P. So if you're Mr. P, that's me. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the board members and to Dr. Webb. Continue support, continue that growth mindset, and continue to employ us. We appreciate that, especially during these hard times. I know one of the things Dr. Webb has always emphasized is, keeping people working, keep them in their jobs. And just know, Dr. Webb, that people do appreciate that, and people are grateful for that opportunity. This is my 7th year here at White's Tower, and I gotta say, I very rarely say I or me, but I got the best job in the world. The kids here are just absolutely outstanding. So I've been here 7 years. My first year here, we were lucky to have 500 students to pay for our assistant principal. Now we have 645. So we're growing every day out here, and we love it. We love seeing those kids and coming in here. I want to say another special thanks to Melina Owens. Melina Owens is pretty much one of my backbones. She keeps me in check, keeps me in line, and if I have questions or I need help or advice, I really call her. She's there to answer, and just a wonderful mentor she's been this past 7 years. I want to say thank you to my administrative team. Our administrative team here, Miss Emily Giles is our assistant principal. Eric Hendricks is our counselor. Just great people, and they're here for the right reasons. They're here for the kids, and if you ever meet these two and you get a chance to sit down and talk to them, you'll understand that right off the bat. White Tower Elementary parents and kids, they're great. I mean, I live in the community. I love going to Kroger, seeing kids out in the community, seeing parents and at a restaurant. Well, I did see them out of restaurants, and things like that. So it's just a wonderful White Tower community that we do have. So to start the year off, we decided to go synchronous. And you know what? That was, and some people might say, well, we had to change. We at White Tower didn't change. We got better. You have an option, is you get better or get beat. I'm a very competitive person. You get better or you get beat. And our teachers got better. They approached it with a great attitude, positive thinking, growth mindset. They were doing stuff on Google Meet, the Google Classroom, Google Forms. It was just absolutely outstanding. So we had some teachers we sent to Kagan virtual learning. Those teachers now come back and professional learning development with some of our teachers to do more engagement, more student engagement via synchronous model. So it's been outstanding on that. So to start the year off, our theme was the greatest show on earth. And boy, has it been a show. We have a circus theme, and there's no other way to sum up this year so far but using that circus theme. But again, our students have been very resilient, and our staff has been resilient and positive, and we're going to continue through this. We're going to get through it. It's going to be okay, but we're getting better every day at White's Tower, and that's going to show in the long run, ensuring student success. So some of the things that I do have in my board report that just pretty much in our winter map, our fall map we've just taken, we're about 70% proficient distinguished in reading and math across the board. Really proud of those students. Really proud of our teachers for getting the students to come in and take the test. Our synchronous and virtual kids were coming in, but our kids are performing at a pretty high level right now. About 70% in math and about 68% in reading. So we're seeing some good results on that. Some of our formative data, our math common assessment from last year, our 5th grade blew it out of the water, reading and math. They were just crushing it. They were over 80% proficient distinguished. Also, kindergarten had a great reading and math as well, almost 90% in those areas. Do we have areas we need to improve on? Yes, we do. But you know what? We're going to put our head down to it and get to work. Some of our impact survey. This is awesome data. I really got chills when I got to see this data. Our students, they said, our teachers managing student behavior. 82% were favorable. That's a big number. So we have great kids here, and we expect a lot of them. We expect them to behave. We have our Monday manners, saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, may I please. And you know what? It's great because managing student behavior does not consume our admin day. We're able to get out classrooms and have helped teachers. So another one was our staff leadership relationship. 82% were favorable in that. We work together. If we're not working together, we're not doing what's best for kids. And by working together, we can ensure student mastery. School climate was 81%, 81% favorable data. So again, it takes a tribe here, and we are all in this together. As far as our safety audit, adults in my school work hard to make sure students are safe. 87% of students agreed with that. Teachers expect me to do my best all the time. Was actually 79.5% of the students strongly agree with that. We expect you to do your Bearcat. Be a Bearcat, be a successful Bearcat. Just going through a couple of little things real quick. Again, the impact survey data was outstanding. We really like that. We have one area in resources that was a little bit lower. That's just, we're growing very big. We're trying to find spaces for certain things. And just the teachers have done an outstanding job. I don't know how much time is left. I'm trying to talk, and it's 5,000. Okay. One more thing. I wanted Dr. Webb and I got this email just last week. White Tower Elementary has been recognized as a bright spot in Kentucky education. Only 28 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 15 high schools in the state of Kentucky got that honor, and we are honored and blessed to be a part of a great school.
Wonderful.
And that was from the Pritchard Committee, and they don't honor a lot of schools, so congrats.
Yeah.
I saw that email. I just got goosebumps, man. You know how I am. I saw that email. I got goosebumps. I was like, this is incredible. This is incredible. So, hey guys, again, thank you very much. Have a great day. All your other principals, good luck to you. And thinking about y'all.
Thanks, Mr. P.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Kenton Elementary, Mindy Coleman.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Mandy.
Hi. So thank you. I just want to start off by saying thank you to the Board of Education and to Dr. Webb for all of your support. I'm happy to be here today to represent Kenton Elementary and tell you all of the wonderful learning that takes place here each day. The theme for this year is we're all in this together, and I know we've heard that a few times today, but let me tell you here, we've been working such a strong team. My teachers and my staff have done such a great job embracing a lot of new technology platforms such as Google Classroom, Google Meet, Wonders, Workspaces, Zern, and Flipgrid, and they've started to really share the resources with each other to show how those programs to enhance learning in the classrooms. We've also increased our social and emotional learning here. Teachers are using the Choose Love curriculum, but also have embraced the Class Dojo SEL as well. Finally, to make sure all school stakeholders are connected, staff have worked to plan virtual events throughout the year, such as ReadyFest, Literacy Night, and Math Night. Next, I want to highlight a few of the academic successes on both MAP and our weekly assessments. On Winter MAP from last year, the overall students were at above the 50th percentile increase in both math and reading, so we're very proud of them. We also had some individual grade level successes on our weekly assessments, and our goal is to continue to improve the overall achievement for all students. We will continue that by having weekly assessments in all subjects with remediation to clear up any student misconceptions. We will also work with district consultants. That will include class visits, observations, feedback, and work at our PLC meetings. Also, we will continue to discuss and analyze data at our weekly PLC meetings to determine next steps for students. While our overall gains in reading and math have increased, we have determined that our main area of improvement continues to center on our students with disabilities. We will help our students with disabilities by creating individualized plans using their MAP scores throughout the year. These plans are reviewed at weekly PLC meetings to determine progress towards mastery. Also, regular education and special education teachers will continue to plan co-teaching lessons. Consultants will work with teachers in this area, and this will include professional development, class visits, and meetings during PLCs to give feedback and discuss next steps for students. Finally, student data on progress toward IEP goals and progress towards proficiency are discussed weekly at special education and regular education PLC meetings and MTSS meetings.
Halfway.
Next, the impact survey results show that we have an area of strength was the relationships among students and staff. The main areas of improvement were regarding technology and professional development. To help these areas, we have participated in the KCSD one-to-one initiative, which helped provide technology for all students. It also includes embedded professional learning about the SAMR model on how technology is being used to enhance instruction in the classroom. Staff was surveyed regarding what type of professional sessions would be most valuable, which showed sessions on students' social emotional learning and mental health issues would be the most beneficial. These sessions will take place with school staff, district staff, and outside agencies. The result of the Quality School Climate and Safety Survey once again showed a strength in relationships with students and staff. Our students feel safe here at Kenton, which is very, very important. Two areas of improvement were that students felt that being mean and hurtful is a problem and that students need to respect each other's differences. In order to improve this at Kenton, teachers lead Tier 1 social emotional lessons following Choose Love curriculum. Also, a cultural awareness committee was formed this year to plan lessons and give resources to teachers. Teachers will also participate in professional learning sessions that are focused on cultural awareness. Finally, our Terrace metrics data results show, again, that our students have a positive experience here at school. However, the data has showed that some of our students feel more ostracized this year than last year. In addition to the areas to the Tier 1 social emotional learning, the school counselors developed individual group sessions to work with students on specific skills. We will continue to goal set and celebrate with our students when they meet their goals throughout the school year. As you can see, the staff at Kenton is working hard each day to provide a world-class education to students. I hope you all will visit our school so that we can show you the hard work that is happening in Kenton. Again, thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Mindy. Good job.
Thanks.
Next, we have from Beech Grove, Mr. Michael Jacks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be here. Just a thumbs up. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Webb. Thank you, Board of Education, for this opportunity. You know, I'm the old geezer on this this meet today. This is my 38th year in education, 22 as an administrator, and 5 at Beech Grove Elementary School. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. These past 5 years, I've seen growth in myself as well as in my admin team. Yes, this year is unprecedented in a lot of changes, but I want to tell you what I want to celebrate most is the change in my staff, my teachers. Did they rise to the occasion? Heck yes, they sure did. In some of the same areas that other principals have shared. A shining example is the way in which they've embraced virtual teaching, learning, the way they've approached learning to become a Google certified teacher, learning ways in which they could use technology to track assessments. Our data dashboard is up and running, and every day we have a pulse for where students are performing. So yes, unprecedented and difficult year, but great growth. Also, starting back in June, we decided with the new admin team, I had Mr. Dodd and Mr. Leroux joining my admin team, Mr. Cardosi back for his second year as counselor. We decided that we were going to beef up our standards. We're going to look at how standards impact our assessments, how assessments impact our instructional practices. And so we did a summer PD locally here. And from that moment on, we restructured our PLCs and our professional learning opportunities to embrace utilizing data to move students and to use data in a way in which we're planning together and we're looking at data together and we're making informed decisions. So when we look at math and we look at common assessments, what we noticed was we do see increases at Beech Grove. But what we also see is although we appreciate the growth being slow and steady, we have areas where we've been sitting for a couple of years and we need to move. And those areas are in our math instruction, and our math performance. So we put a lot of energy this year into math. The restructured PLCs are giving us an opportunity to realign our assessments to our standards, looking at our instructional practices, making sure they all fit nicely together. And then as an admin team, we are sharing our PPR walks at least 1 or 2 a week, where we can come back and calibrate our feedback following the feedback frames that Kenton County School District have given us.
Halfway.
All of that helps us move our students forward. As we look at impact survey, what we discovered on the impact survey was that our teachers do a remarkable job dealing with a diverse population at Beech Grove. Our kids are happy here. They are building relationships with each other and with students. An area of growth for our teachers is they're hungry for specific feedback. They're also wanting professional learning that helps them grow as an individual. And so together with my admin team, we are restructuring those PLCs to give that specific growth opportunity. Our professional learning is more individualized. As we move on to our climate and safety, what we noticed is that this is a safe place for our kids. This is a happy place for our kids. What a great feeling it was in September to see them back. We're going to continue building those connections and those relationships with students. What we want to do is we want to make sure that students, this leads us into our terrace metrics, that our students feel that they have tools and strategies to put into place. Perhaps when they see someone being, behavior being hurtful and mean, how to deal with that and how to report that. We're strengthening our relationships with our adult advocates, more meetings, more small group opportunities. That leads us into our overall impact and implementation. 2 things. We are striving to keep our behaviors at Beech Grove under control so that admin can be out and about, coaching, teaching, learning with teachers and students. We've seen great strides in the last several months here at Beech Grove with that. We're also wanting to improve. The floor is proficiency. We want our students to perform well above the floor, so we're working hard on math. We're working hard on reading proficiency. And to conclude, you know, board learning is an important part of Beech Grove. Started here over a decade ago. And just to show you how impactful that board learning is, we usually have 35 families. This year we have 59 families. Those families are virtually attending our monthly board learning. How cool is that? That we've not only kept board learning going, but we've increased it. Also, we're keep growing in our map. From winter to winter, we saw growth. We're going to continue that. And finally, how successful our summer feeding program was here at Beech Grove. 22,000 breakfast and lunch meals served. So lots of people working hard to benefit students, well-being, academic, social, emotional. I'm just excited and thrilled to be here as the administrator. And thank you for your support, board, Dr. Webb. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, sir. Good job.
Thank you.
Next, we have from Pioneer Elementary, Dorothy Denny.
Can you all hear me okay?
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi. Hi. So hello, as Dr. Webb said, I am Dorothy Denny, and I am in my 3rd year of being a principal at Pioneer Elementary. I would like to start off by thanking each and every one of you for your continued support. As many of my colleagues have already said, dealing with education during a pandemic has been extremely difficult for all of us, and I know it has been for you as well. But I wanted to let you know that there is great comfort, and we take great comfort in knowing that we are supported by our board members and district leaders. I am very excited to be able to share the amazing things that we have in place at Pioneer. And I do have to respectfully disagree with Mr. P. He said he has the best job in the world, but I actually think I'm the one that holds that title at Pioneer Elementary. No offense, Mr. P. So I want to start off with some tremendous growth in the area of synchronous learning with Google Classroom and Google Meet. Not only our teachers, but our para-educators have really embraced this and stepped up to provide a strong learning environment. Our kindergarten students, they have exhibited tremendous growth with logging into their Google Classroom and being able to maneuver that. And I'm excited to share that most of them are independent with that at this point. We are a one-to-one school, but we did decide to go ahead and join the one-to-one district initiative so we can have a systematic approach to maintain updated Chromebooks for years to come. So we do have them K through 5. Although we have technology at Pioneer, we do have a little bit of a barrier. We have some families who do not have access to high-speed internet due to their rural location. And I would like to formally thank our district for working hard to provide hotspots for families who don't have reliable internet. We have some families who live in areas that even the hotspots don't work. Overall, though, we have worked through those and we are much better equipped for a smooth transition into synchronous learning at this time. So as far as some data, MAP and common assessment data, we did have an overall increase in the total combined average for students scoring in the 50th percentile and higher in both reading and math from winter of 2018-19 to last year. We are still working hard to close the gap with our special education students and our students in MTSS and consistently scoring novice on our assessments. So to address this, we have revamped our school data dashboard this year. We will have K-Prep on it when K-Prep is available. We have MAP, Common Assessment, Weekly Assessment, Sight Words, Running Record data, you name it, we've got it on there. The Common and Weekly Assessment data is averaged to show an up-to-date snapshot of where the student is currently performing, whether it's novice, apprentice, proficient, or distinguished. We also maintain a strong focus on our instructional walk feedback. Mrs. Burris and I have worked very hard to ensure that we are calibrated with strong actionable feedback, whether we're completing those walks in person or virtually. We've actually gotten pretty good with them virtually as well. We have also continued with student goal setting and students tracking their own progress in their student data binders. We are changing that up a little bit for our intermediate grades. They are tracking theirs digitally this year, which is coming in handy for the pandemic. As far as our teachers in the Kentucky Impact Survey, the data indicated that leadership, relationships, and coaching are a strength at Pioneer. Honestly, coaching is my passion, and Mrs. Burris and I love to provide the teachers with opportunities to grow. At Pioneer, she and I work very closely with teachers as they create their weekly assessments, and we help them decide on best practice strategies for when they need to provide some reteach. Our teachers indicated that resources was an area of growth at Pioneer, and we are working with team leads to gather specific teacher concerns. We're going to take those concerns to prioritize and address them. So for our students, the team-oriented climate was not only among staff and administrators, but it was echoed with our Pioneer students on both the school climate and Terrace metric surveys.
1 minute.
We are focusing on social emotion lessons at Pioneer each day. We've increased the amount of time we spend on SEL. With our district CCEIS grant, we were able to purchase some additional resources and training. We purchased Second Step for all grades, and we are providing virtual training for conscious discipline as well. One of the students who mentioned ostracism as a problem at Terrace Metrics, when we looked into it further, we noticed that this is due to the social distancing and our intermediate students being on a rotation and not being able to see their friends as much as they were in the past. So we are working through SEL lessons to ensure they understand the why behind social distancing and ways that they can continue to make friends and make connections while maintaining social distancing. Our clubs are up and running, although mostly virtual at this point, but we will continue with those as well. So in closing, our teacher and student surveys have shown that Pioneer has a culture of mutual respect between all stakeholders. That mutual respect is why we have staff and students who are willing to take positive risks. We still have a lot of work to do. We look forward to having all of our students back in person because we know that there is no replacement for having them here. Until we get to that point, we will continue to provide quality, structured lessons synchronously to our students. Again, I commit to you today that we will continue to provide a world-class education, even in a pandemic, at Pioneer Elementary School. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. And last but not least, Ryland Dan Shakur.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. First, I'd like to start off by thanking Dr. Webb and our Board of Education for giving me the opportunity and support, be able to present to you today as the proud principal of Ryland Heights Elementary. Our theme for this year at Ryland is Adventure Awaits. and boy has it. We have been faced with all kinds of adventure. But I've got to say, and like many have mentioned already, our teachers have been amazing. They've been amazing through embracing the challenges and learning these new skills with a positive growth mindset. They've become proficient very quickly with a bunch of different forms of technology, mainly Google Meet, Google Classroom, but many others. Another support of this, thanks to the board as well, are the additional positions along with the instructional technology coach. That's been a great help as well with the teachers' development. But overall, they've been extremely proactive in this time of what seems like never-ending daily change, and prepared themselves to be able to present all the material to their students as efficiently and effectively as possible. Additionally, we're very happy that Ryland Heights has joined the Kenton County one-to-one initiative. So during this school year, all of our students will be one-to-one with technology. And overall, facing the change, our entire team has done a great job of following safety protocols, as our testing so far this year has shown with our COVID testing, and embracing the challenges with a positive, flexible mindset. I'm also proud to say that our students have continued to show a good level of achievement. And the recent MAP testing, our students school-wide scored over 5 percentage points higher in math than the district average, and scored over 3 percentage points higher in reading than the district average. Additionally, they scored 68.22% above the 50th percentile in reading, and that was actually over a 4 percentage point increase from fall of 2019. So our students have continued to work really hard. An area of growth as far as MAP does show that we did have a bit of a decrease from the winter MAP testing. And the ways that the strategies that we have to approach that are that with the help of the district's amazing Joe Chavez, we have created a school-specific data dashboard, and it's grade level specific in the areas of reading and math. And within that, we include all of our MAP data, all of our common assessment data, all of our grade level weekly math and reading assessments. In addition, we have links to all students who are in the MTSS pyramid and their data, their progress monitoring data, as well as identified special education students and their progress monitoring data, for us to really triangulate that data and ensure that we are following the best instructional strategies possible to help each kid make the growth that they need to make, be the best that they can be. Along with the data, we're very proud of our kindergarten and first grades with the common assessments. They had all assessments except for one math assessment in the first grade last year that they had over 70% of them above benchmark. So we felt that was very impressive. Areas of growth for us would be to get consistently higher numbers for our intermediate students in both reading and math above that 70% mark. Again, we're going to be using that data tracking and weekly PLCs to focus on student growth for that. Additionally, we have weekly administrative meetings with our reading and math interventionists to ensure that we are focusing on the right progress data and strategies for those students, so that allows for our MTSS committee to consistently monitor and have the correct progress for those students as well. As far as our impact survey data, we had 88% of staff felt that the school environment is safe, which of course is a priority to us. Along with that safety, I did want to thank the board for the improvements that were made here at Ryland Heights to help make students and staff feel safe, because we do now have a secure vestibule entrance and safety security camera system. So that's been fantastic for our whole staff and student body. Additionally, on the impact survey, we had 100% of staff responded that teachers use assessment data to guide instruction, which is fantastic. And then lastly, that 85% of the staff feel that students are enthusiastic about being at school. And along the lines with that is that correlated well with our Terrace metrics data, because we had 100% of the students score in the optimal range in positive school experiences. So it's great to see all of that correlation. As far as areas of growth that we would have with relation to the impact survey data is that staff felt that they would like more input with their professional development opportunities. So what we have done this year is we created and we've been implementing a new monthly faculty meeting format that is a session-based format, and the teachers have a voice and some control over what sessions they get to attend to most positively impact what areas that they feel are beneficial to their growth and thus impacting student success. The topics and contents of these sessions we developed through classroom walk data, through teacher data input, and whatever our current needs and relevancy topics are. Additionally, with that, I would like to go over a little bit of our school climate and safety survey data that our students took last year.
Hey, Dan,
we had over.
Dan, we're giving you the hook here.
Uh-oh, I'm out of time.
No, if you don't care, could you go ahead and summarize?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the main thing that I wanted to summarize was that above all of the data that I shared, the thing that I am most proud of is that we have an absolutely amazing team of students, staff, and parents and guardians here at Ryland Heights Elementary. As many have stated, they're unprecedented times, but it's been absolutely amazing about their attitudes, their flexibility, and their perseverance that they've shown through this. I couldn't be more proud to represent this school, and I have no doubts whatsoever that they were going to be successful with any challenges that we face as we move forward. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Good job. And good job by all of you. At this time, we'll open it up for questions. Does the board members have questions?
I have 3 written down.
Yes.
The one about differentiating learning, I think, has been answered. Are there other supports during this pandemic that you need to enhance student learning? Anyone?
I don't think they'll be able to hear.
So the question was, are there additional supports that you need to improve student learning during this pandemic? And that's an open question for anyone that would like to answer.
Yes, no, that's a good thing. And the groups, the kids that are in the counseling groups, are they still getting that virtually?
So those of you who have students, and we all do, in groups, the counseling groups, are we still providing those counseling groups virtually when we're in full-time synchronous?
For our school, and I'm sure others, that's a yes. Those students are still receiving those supports.
Yes, that's similar with us.
Okay.
Other questions?
Well, I'm wondering for Pioneer and Ryland, how is their internet availability? I mean, is it, do they drive to some places or often it for, certain places? I know Farm Bureau does, or a church or two. Do parents do that?
So Dorothy, if you don't mind addressing that one.
Yes, sir. So at the beginning of the year, there was a couple of local churches that were offering internet, and we do have Pioneer Baptist that is offering that this time as well, now that we have gone synchronous. The barrier is getting them to go to those places. So we have worked really hard to create flash drives, record lessons, still provide them with the best that we can. There are just a handful of areas that the hotspots won't even work, but we are definitely doing our best I feel a lot better equipped this go round because of the district hotspot. So I wanted to, again, cannot thank you enough for helping out some of our families with that.
So Dorothy, when you say you're putting it on a flash drive, so you're pre-recording those so they can just plug those into their computers and load them and view them, right?
Some of them are pre-recorded and some are recorded when they teach their Google Meet.
Right.
And so those kids may be working on like a 2-day lag, but they are able to still continue to hear the direct instruction from the teacher.
Wonderful. So they're still accessing the same information.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And if I could, I'd just add on, fortunately for Ryland, we don't have students that are not able to get internet at all. We have been able to utilize quite a few of the district hotspots. So those have been of great assistance for those families that need them. And they've helped a lot.
I'm glad to hear that. They're way over there too.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan. Other questions?
So how are we, I know obviously student interaction is super important for growth in the classroom, and that's really much easier in an environment like this where we're all sitting and kind of talk. How are they encouraging that in the virtual environment? How's that working? I mean, are we seeing a lot of, I mean, not just the teacher teaching and the students and, you know, absorbing the information, but interaction between the students in a virtual environment? How's that working?
Yeah, I've seen some wonderful examples. So if you could, let me repeat the question in case you did not hear it, but obviously student interaction, especially around content, is very powerful. But just student interaction in general, how are you encouraging, promoting, guiding student interaction, peer-to-peer, as well as other interaction when we're full-time synchronous or virtual?
So my first thought on that would be that our kids are amazing and they pick up on this stuff very quickly. And so when you pop into a synchronous classroom, you many times see a very active chat going where kids are encouraging one another and building off of one another's answers with that strong accountable talk that we encourage in our instructional strategies. And then you have things like the breakout rooms that Google Meet has. So kids can go off in small groups and be tasked with discussing, you know, certain content and then coming back as a whole group. There are lots of other tech tips, you know, things like Flipgrid and things like that that our teachers are just using very smartly to make sure that our kids are having that peer-to-peer interaction.
Other questions?
I had a couple. I know obviously one of our big district-wide goals is for all students to be reading on level by third grade. So how are we working towards that goal in this environment? I mean, I'm seeing obviously incredible instruction. I have 3 kids doing it at home, so I can sometimes see some of that, but that's a hard goal in general. So how are we kind of managing that in this certain current environment?
So the question is, what changes or how are we working towards our goal of all kids reading on grade level exiting primary or exiting third grade, especially during this environment? Anyone want to share anything on this one?
I don't mind to answer this. Looks like Angela was jumping in there at the same time I was. So Angela, feel free to chime in. It's a great question. And I think my initial response is in many ways, we are able to use a lot of the same strategies that we use in person with in-person instruction. You know, all of the tech tools that Melody just referenced, our teachers have, when I said it's better that they're leading this than me, I meant it, because every time I walk in a new classroom or every time I log in online to a new lesson, I'm just blown away by what they've managed to figure out in this online teaching and learning environment. So in many ways, we are using a lot of the same strategies in person that or online that we would use in person. Now, to be fair, we missed a couple months of instruction at the end of year. Last year we went to NTI, so it was a setback, I think, for a lot of us. And then coming into this year, starting with synchronous instruction, that was a disruption because it was the first time we were doing synchronous instruction, across the board like that. And we had a little bit of a slow start, but I will tell you that transitioning back to synchronous instruction today, I'm in the building and we haven't had a single phone call. We haven't had a single tech issue, knock on wood. So my hope is that we can continue that momentum that we had with our in-person instruction right on into the synchronous learning platform. But yeah, I mean, it's a simple answer, and I don't know if everybody else would agree with that or not. But in a lot of ways, where our teachers are incorporating a lot of the same reading strategies and techniques, strategies and techniques than they would in person. They're just doing it online. So a lot of text is available online, and some would argue that for our youngest students, it's much better for them to have books in their hand and actually be manipulating the books and the text. Certainly, we would like to increase that if we could, but we are limited in our resources in terms of what our kids have at home. But for the most part, our teachers are doing a great job teaching reading strategies online as they would in person.
Wonderful. Angela?
Yes, I would just add to what Jenna was saying that because these tools are available, we've actually seen some unique trends, especially as Dr. Webb alluded to, some of our MAP data where we were concerned about scores dipping and significant drops. So we haven't seen that. But I think that we've also been able to hone in because tools are available and we have kids hopping in, to the online world more than we ever did. Obviously, we didn't have that option, that we are able to do small group targeted instruction because of the tech tools that allows our teachers to be more in tune to some of these needs, and where students can get a more individualized kind of instruction because the technology allows us to do that. So I don't see it as a step backwards. I just see it as continued steps forward towards better meeting students' individual needs and ensuring all kids have equal access and opportunity, and to be able to keep those to keep those skills on grade level.
Wonderful. Other questions?
As far as it's always been a push, I know, especially the last few years, we've talked a lot about it in our this day every year, our board reports or adult advocates for every student, which I would say this year is probably more important than any year so far. So how are we working to make sure specifically, and obviously I know we're having really great attendance rates, but those students that we are kind of struggling to kind of get to, what is kind of our focus, or how are we working at having adult advocates for those specific students?
So the question is, obviously, one of our expectations in our MTSS system and our district as a whole is adult advocates for every child. During this ever-changing period, that could be difficult, especially if some kids are, full-time synchronous or virtual, and if they're on the hybrid model, while our participation rates are really good, 95, 98%, we still have some kids that seem to not be participating. So the question is, how are we making sure we have an adult advocate and reaching out to those kids?
I can pop in here. Dorothy, you want to?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I think for us, it started last spring when we, shut down on March 13th. It became so important for us to really have a school-wide collaborative method of tracking every single kid and making sure that we did not have one single student that was falling through the cracks that somebody hadn't heard from. And so we created a separate data dashboard just for that. And so we've continued that process of kind of an MTSS approach, if you will, where, the vast majority of our students, they just need that tier 1, that normal communication. But then there are some kiddos that need an extra layer of support. And so we do that, in a very systemic way in our school, in a collaborative way. So when you get down to like those tier 3 kiddos, then we're doing home visits, we're sending out our Frisky having our counselor reach out to the families and, meeting their needs individually.
Jenna, I know you're our largest elementary. Some of you's in the next group. So you being the largest, how are you all handling that?
Almost identical to everything Melody said. I have my camera off, but so you didn't see me nodding my head, but we did the same thing in the spring. So it's not as fancy of a data dashboard as Taylor Mill had, but essentially it was a spreadsheet. And so every week we would keep track of students who were not consistently making a connection with their teacher, whether it was logging on or completing work or responding to emails. And, one of the, benefits of having some adults in the building was that we have like our counselor who was meeting with small groups, and our FRC coordinator. We used our KTP worker, and we utilize those people to reach out, make home visits. A lot of times, those students were not participating because they lacked some sort of resource or supply, and we were able to get those for them right away. But we've really continued that. This year, we started the year with that in terms of just making sure that we don't allow any kids to go unnoticed or fall through the cracks in terms of that consistent participation. Our participation rate is not as high as I would like for it to be. And to be real transparent, part of that is just having a consistent definition of how we're marking participation in Infinite Campus. And some of our teachers have a very different expectation of how kids are participating and when they get participation credit versus others. So we're working through streamlining that process. But truly, that's what we've done. We've kept a spreadsheet, and teachers have access to it. And if they are struggling to make consistent contact with the child, or they're not logging in, we put them on our list, and we divide and conquer, and we make those calls, and we do those home visits. So we've had pretty good success with using that system.
And I know all of you all have, go ahead. I know all of you all have similar systems, so thank you for that. I will tell you, as recently as yesterday, I read another article. Since school started back, there's just hundreds and thousands of kids missing all over the United States where they've never reported back to school. Nobody's checking on them. I know one in our own state had over 500 kids that they had not heard from, seen, or located since school started, actually since last March. So I'm just proud to say here in Kenton County that we have systemic processes in place to track and talk and know where all of our kids are. Now, all of them may not be participating the way we needed to. We know why. We're trying to assist. It's not like we don't know where they are. So we do have adults reaching out to them. Wonderful. Other questions?
One more.
Okay.
Sorry, I feel like I'm always the questioner. Something else I know is district-wide is important to do, have our kids involved in something outside of the classroom. And I believe it might have been Dorothy again who talked about some clubs that are happening even virtually. Is that happening across all of the elementary schools? Like, are we able to still have, I know maybe not to the extent that we had last fall or spring, but some clubs like that can meet?
Yeah.
Actually, the kids can have some sort of interaction inside the classroom.
So obviously the question is a great question. Another one of our goals is all of our kids to be engaged in something or extracurricular. We all understand in our district, we embrace the importance of that. Can some of you maybe speak to what you're doing or able to do specifically when we're in synchronous or virtual? Obviously for an AB, that's a little easier, but what are we doing?
We still have our clubs up and going. When we were in person, we had some of the clubs that we could socially distance and have all of our protocols still followed. We would have in person at times, but for the most part, they are virtual clubs. We do have several of those going, and we don't have as much participation as we have in the past, but at the same time, we have them offered, and we're constantly bringing that back up to try to get more kids to join in.
Dr. Webb, I'd like to say that we are having our academic team tryouts today and tomorrow virtually for our 4th and 5th grade students. So we're super excited about that. We also have had our STLP team working since the beginning of the year. Some of their meetings are virtual, but some of them are here at school, and we have had huge success with both of those areas.
Awesome.
Dr. Webb, if I can chime in, for Beech Grove, oftentimes transportation is an issue when we hold before and after school clubs. And although we have a few of those up and running right now, most of our clubs are virtual. Take Chorus, for example, as hard as it may be believe that it's a virtual opportunity, we have increased our participation because kids can log on. It seems to be a better fit than having a parent have to pick them up. So for Beech Grove, some of our club attendance numbers are up due to the fact that kids don't need transportation to attend those clubs.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know we've all said this, but technology changes the way we do things. And, you know, even when we do get back to so-called normal, Mr. Jackson, you bring up an excellent point. Perhaps that's a way we get more kids involved going forward. Wonderful. Other questions?
No, but a big kudos to Joe Shamus. How they ever mentioned it.
Yeah, he helped set up a bunch of those.
And tell Joe.
Will do. So I have just two quick questions for you because you didn't mention it, and I'm going to ask both groups this. One, the diversity training that, you know, the board agreed to provide. Can one or two of you all talk about how that's gone? The diversity inclusion training? I know it's not in all of our schools. I know it's half of our schools this year. So if you have that, could you talk just briefly about it?
Sure, I can. I actually, I think I had that listed somewhere in my board report on one of the slides. So for us at River Ridge, we have participated in, now had 2 staff sessions and 1 student session. We have our 3rd staff session scheduled, I believe, in February, late January, and then the student session around that. So it's been a pretty powerful experience. I know that our staff really after the first session, they really they were appreciative. They were eager to learn more. Tommy Lewis, who is the presenter who works with Make It Plain Consulting, was able to send me a bunch of resources to share with staff based on there was a survey that he asked staff to take at the end of the first session. And so we had, our staff took the survey, and then he was able to sort of differentiate the materials he shared with us based on our staff results. So it was very interesting to open up that dialogue with students as well. If full transparency, I was a little nervous about how that was going to go. But, our teachers, I was able to sit in on about 10 minutes of 2 student sessions, and the kids were very engaged. They were very interested. And so all in all, it went pretty well. I think one of my overall takeaways from holding that training with our staff is the amount of uncomfortable dialogue that our staff was willing to have with one another. And we did a combined classified and certified session, so we had about 80 people on the session, which was another thing I was super uncomfortable with, but I got over it because you just never know what people are going to say and how that's going to go. But anyway, it was great. It was fine. But it allowed us an opportunity to really open up some dialogue and encourage dialogue with staff members that we're not accustomed to having consistently, I guess, in the workplace. But I don't know. I think that we will grow from this. I think that how and how far we grow from this is yet to be seen. But our initial sessions were good. So, I mean, I can say that.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Dr. Webb, I can tag on to what Jenna said. The first session, we've had our 2 teacher sessions as well at Beech Grove, and that uncomfortableness and getting out of that comfort zone really was apparent from session 1 to session 2. Session 1 was uncomfortable for most people in that opportunity to share. But I noticed as session 2 went on, that uncomfortableness went away a little bit and people were a little bit more vulnerable. And I think that's what it's going to take for us to grapple with some of the issues that Tommy puts in front of us. So for Beech Grove, teachers, particularly the staff, uncomfortable at the beginning and plowed through and did much more sharing and constructive sharing in session 2. So ours is also after the new year for session 3. So I'm expecting that trend to continue. But I just want to say it was uncomfortable, but we did grow and we are growing.
And Dr. Webb, can I just add one more thing? So just reflecting and processing, one of the, I think, strengths that came out of it for us. So after the first session, I worked with Tommy individually on kind of next steps for session 2. And one of the things I asked him for was, how can we apply this dialogue to our staff, not just for staff to staff relationships, but how does this apply in our teaching and our classroom culture and in our classrooms with our students? Because we have such a large EL population at River Ridge, that was something that I thought we could really capitalize on this training in terms of assumptions and bias that our staff members may have that they're not really aware of. And so that was one of the really good things that came out of session 2, was he was able to take that feedback and really guide some of the work in session 2 with what this, not only how do we have these conversations and what does this look like among us as adults, and how does this translate in through our teaching into our classrooms with our students, that come from different backgrounds. So that was really good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't say enough. Great. Any final questions?
I would just tell them how.
Yes.
It's not unnoticed.
Right.
This is hard right now.
So yeah, all of our board members are talking about all the wonderful comments, thoughts, data, all the information shared. Are they staying with us?
Well, that screen is them.
Yeah, are they staying with us? Yeah, we're going to mute. All right, so 2:15, Madam Vice Chair. Is that good? So we're going to take a 15-minute break, and we'll be back at 2:15 to start with our secondary schools. Thank you all.
Thank you. This goes very much. The way we're doing this.
I know.
I really like
And,
this.
and I thought we Well, wait a minute.
Does anyone else think it's cool in here?
Yes, it's cool. It's always cool.
Can we warm it?
It's cool. Yeah, I got like, it's all, I never think it's ever hot in here.
Okay, it'll be just a second. Okay, we have everyone back. The next session will be our secondary schools. And first, from Ignite, Dr. Julie Whitus. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. I don't know what's going on over there on that side of the world, but the sun just started shining now that secondary schools are getting ready to visit. It's good to see all of you. I can't see you very well. Want to say that we miss you. We wish that you guys were able to come into the building and that we could come see you. Really enjoy talking to you and catching up with you, but I guess this is the next best thing. So thanks again. Thanks to Dr. Webb and to the board for being such innovative thinkers. I feel like I say this all the time, but without your support, Ignite would not be here, and I wouldn't have this awesome job of creating a new type of education for all of our scholars in Northern Kentucky. So thank you again. Also, thanks to Martha Setters and Mary Beth Huss. They've been huge supports for me, particularly at Ignite. And then to the whole high school team, we are really a good team of people, I feel like. We meet frequently, we talk about things that we need, we talk about questions that we have. So really having that crew has been one of the best parts of being a part of the secondary school for Kenton County Schools. So thank you, appreciate it. I'm really excited to share some things about Ignite. I know that this time 2 years ago, I was reporting on the academies, and then this time last year, I was reporting on the Academy/Ignite. So this time, I'm going to report just on Ignite, and hopefully next year I'll be reporting on Ignite minus a pandemic. So some adjustments that we've made due to COVID-19 have been a little bit different than the other high schools. I'm sure you know. We follow Boone County Schools curriculum. Well, their curriculum maps, but then also the processes that they do. So we started back in a hybrid instruction model where we had 3 of our colleges reporting on Monday, Tuesday, and then the other 3 colleges reporting on Thursday, Friday, with Wednesday being a virtual help day for our educators. Also, we actually had the chance to transition to full in-person for about a week until there was no more. That was actually a really good transition. I was very surprised at the amount of parents and scholars that really just wanted to be in the building, really wanted to be, you know, interacting with our teachers and our family-like atmosphere. Even when we were in a hybrid model, we had a huge transition of scholars that wanted to come back into the building, and thankfully, since we have this incredible space, we were able to accommodate that and get some of our scholars back in the building to help. So really proud of that. Another thing that we did is we're using Canvas, similar to what colleges use in our area. We set Canvas up at the very beginning of the school year to flow regardless of virtual or in-person instruction. So really, we have not changed since school started in August on how we were actually instructing scholars. So whenever we have students that go in and out due to sickness, things like that, they're able to actually continue in Canvas. So formative data for CERT, we're doing great. If you look at our average as a school, we met or exceeded benchmark in all areas except science. So we're putting in a lot of strategies there. Our graduation rate is 100%. That was with 40 to 50 scholars last year that were seniors. Now we have 120. I'm proud to say that out of 120 scholars, 105 scholars are actually doing in-person internships right now, and that's all due to the hard work of our internship coordinator, Chris Bryson. Even with the pandemic, you know, we verify that the businesses and the parents are okay with the scholars doing the internships, and they're out there learning right now, even in the pandemic. So we're actually working on a way to get more internships to count for Transition Ready. Transition Ready has always been a strength of ours, and I was lucky enough to be selected to serve on the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board. So hopefully I'll be able to make some difference there and get some new opportunities for our high schools in the Commonwealth. The impact survey, we had some positives, a lot of positives, in fact, where our school climate, which is really good. Something that we're striving for. I'm sorry, Dr. Webb, is that my time?
1 minute.
1 minute, thank you. Our school climate's really good. We actually just started a diversity committee so that we can increase diversity at the Ignite Institute. We have a new application process that is more inclusive. Terrace metrics, we're continuing with Terrace metrics this year. All of our scholars have a mentor within the college that they are learning from, and those mentors actually are guiding those students all the time through their freshman all the way to the senior year. So we feel like that's definitely been a positive. Lots of new things going on here at Ignite. We have a parent committee this year. We have a virtual music program through Northern Kentucky University where students are actually taking virtual lessons through the School of the Arts. They're actually going to be putting together a choir that way as well, a virtual choir. So we're looking forward to seeing that. Lots of celebrations, visitors, over 500 visitors from different places last year. In fact, we've got lots of visitors that are still coming to Ignite, even in the pandemic. So we're proud of the work there. But I guess I'll just go ahead and shore up here. Once again, thanks for your support. I'm proud to be Team Kenton, and I'm proud to be the Kenton leader at Ignite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. And as earlier, we'll take questions at the end. Next, we have Scott High School, Carolyn Stewart.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me.
Hi, Carolyn.
All right.
Hi.
Wonderful. Hi. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Webb and the Kenton County Board for your continued support throughout the pandemic. I feel like Kenton County has definitely been a forerunner in regards to our planning and preparation for all the challenges this pandemic has presented to us, and I do truly thank you guys for that. I'm honored to be presenting to you today about Scott High School. This is my first year as principal at Scott, and what a first year it has been so far. I was previously the assistant here at Scott for 8 years, and this is my 21st year in education. I also have 2 new assistant principals this year, and although we are a new admin team, I'm very proud of our cohesiveness, our balance, and our conjoined commitment to making Scott an incredible place to learn, work, and lead. Being a first-year principal during a typical year is a challenge. Being a first-year principal with a new admin team during a pandemic is epic. I would like to thank Martha for her continued support and quick responses to my many texts and emails with many questions, as well as my fellow high school principals. Julie, Craig, Nate, you guys have been wonderful and a great support for me. So thank you all very much. Teachers here at Scott, as well as across the district and nation, have had to make many instructional adjustments as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. I'm incredibly proud of my staff and how they've responded to this challenge with vigor and resilience. Almost every staff member at Scott High School are Google Educator certified. They've researched and integrated many tech tools such as Nearpod, Peer Deck, Delta Math, and Whiteboard into their daily instruction. I'm in classes almost every single day, and it never ceases to amaze me what they're doing within the classrooms with their students, and how they're formatively assessing, how they're giving direct feedback. I know this was something initially that was a great concern, and our teachers have truly risen to the occasion and are making great strides. I have several Scott staff who have exemplified their leadership skills during this time by offering to lead others in training on how to utilize the various aspects of technology. Although this has been a stressful time for all, my teachers have reported that they have never worked this hard in their careers. They feel that the tools and skills that they have learned have helped to improve their teaching practice and will continue to affect how they teach for the remainder of their careers. We've had many conversations here about how, you know, the future will never look the same for us. We'll never get back to education as it was. that's a bittersweet statement, but I think my teachers has been very, have embraced that and really started to really feel how fortunate or realize how fortunate they are to have had this time to learn these new tools that are going to help improve their practice throughout the rest of their career. We're fortunate that we were able to provide all Scott students who requested a Google Chrome for synchronous and/or virtual instruction. Fortunately, our leadership and site-based council had the foresight to make it a priority to purchase and provide our students with technology for several years now, resulting in us being well prepared in terms of access. So every student at Scott High School that requested a Chromebook, because they needed that to do their home instruction, we were able to provide them with one. And looking at our data, there are two areas that present as common trends in terms of area for improvement at Scott. These two areas are graduation rate and special education. We've developed extensive plans for improvement in both of these areas and are working tirelessly to intervene and improve in each of these areas daily. We've created data dashboards where we are tracking individual student data and are having regularly scheduled PLCs to look at and interpret this data. We have developed a daily FLY advisory time. FLY is an acronym for Fostering Leadership in Youth. Now, we had this previously, but it only met once a week, and the primary purpose of that was for an SEL lesson. But we realized that this could be a valuable resource for us in terms of using it for other reasons as well. So some of those we are utilizing this time to provide our students with social emotional learning twice weekly, for providing Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for students in all areas. So this includes reading, math, mental health, small groups, things of that nature. Bolstering our adult advocacy program, and for providing additional support for our special education students. Our special education students are able to meet with their case managers daily as well through this time. We wanted to continue to prioritize supporting the whole child here at Scott. One source of pride for Scott High School is that we do not give up on students. According to our impact survey data, our rating for educating all students is higher than the Kentucky high school average. According to our quality school climate and safety survey data, Scott High School students reported that they have at least one adult at school who listens to them. They can ask a teacher for help with schoolwork if needed, and that their teachers expect them to do their best all the time. I'm so proud of that data. This is a change from data that's been collected in the past from Scott students. This is the direct result of intentional time, energy, and plans implemented by our staff. Our Scott staff are tirelessly committed to meeting our students' academic and social emotional needs. Once again, focusing on the whole child. Lastly, Scott High School students completed 629 dual credit courses in the 2019-20 school year. This is quite an accomplishment for a school that only has 450 juniors and seniors combined. So I guess just to sum it up, thank you again for your tireless support. I really think you guys have done a wonderful job at having that foresight and really preparing for a pandemic year as best as could be imagined. And I thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job.
Next from Dixie, Nate Neming.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. I am Nate Neming, principal over at Dixie Heights High School, and this is my third year at Dixie Heights and the Kenton County School Systems, 29th year overall, and it's been a year like no other. I want to first off thank Dr. Webb, Mrs. Harney, Mrs. Setters for their support throughout this whole process and their leadership as we continue to do the best we can for all students. Also want to thank the school board for your continued support as well. It's without that support, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do. So definitely appreciate that. Our current reality here at Dixie is it's been a very difficult year for everybody. And it's been a difficult year for me personally on a leadership level, just trying to figure out how best to lead. But with the support of my team here, with my principals and counselors who do everything they can to really help students, it's been made it much easier for me as we lead through this. Our teachers are working extremely hard. They're trying to implement a lot of new things with new technology, but we build a very strong collaborative structure here. We build a master schedule which allows our teachers to have a common planning time So every week they're able to see, and every day I see a lot of them getting together, discussing what things are working and what things are not. With that master schedule, we also have a intervention time, a pride time that's in there, where they can work with students for real-time needs. And we can do tier 1 interventions, tier 2, and tier 3. It was a struggle to try and figure out how to do that virtually. We have a nice program that empowers students to be able to select workshops on where their needs are, and we were able to move that into a virtual situation. Our PLC teams, we call them instructional learning teams, they focus on 4 essential questions of PLC. What do we want students to know? How will we know that they know it? So working on our common assessments. What do we do if they don't know it, which is our intervention piece? And then what do we do if they do, which is our enrichments? With that pride time, it really enables us to be able to do a lot of different things with those 4 essential questions. The difficult times we're in are causing a lot of very good discussions around ways to improve us and how we do school. This involves not just technology uses, so improving our technology uses, but also how to empower students in their own learning to enhance their 21st century skills needed to be successful as they transition into post-secondary careers. We've shown growth in a couple key areas. Our EL students, we've shown a lot of growth in our EL. Thank you very much to the board and Dr. Webb for supporting a full-time EL teacher. We met our goal astronomically in the EL population, and a lot of that is due to that support. Special ed population is improving as well. We attribute that to our collaborative culture with our teams and our special ed teachers being able to collaborate together. A third area we need to continue to grow is and provide support is our students with economically disadvantaged. The pandemic has exacerbated this a little bit. We are seeing a gap in regards to meeting the needs of those students. We are not one-to-one, so that was an issue that we've been working through in terms of getting everybody technology. But we believe when the new technology does come in, we'll be able to shrink that gap a little bit, but that is a concern of ours. Our school culture is improving. In my 3rd year, we've been able to develop a greater trust with our staff, but also our staff to students. We are implementing a diversity and inclusion leadership team here of students, thanks to Make It Plain and the support of the Kenton County Board with the Make It Plain organization and Tommy Lewis. I've met with grade level teams of students who are interested in helping make Dixie a more inclusive place. So we really appreciate that. We're going to continue to do everything we can to ensure that all students are going to learn, even through this difficult time. And I want to thank again for the great support of Dr. Webb and the Kenton County School Board for all they do for us, specifically here at Dixie. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good job. Next, we have from Simon Kenton, Mr. Craig Reinhardt.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the opportunity or giving me the opportunity to speak about the great things happening at Simon Kenton today. I need to thank my administrative team, my faculty and staff, the parents, and especially my students for making this year go as smoothly as possible. I also need to thank my predecessor, John Popham, our central office team with a special shout out to Martha Setters, our high school principals team, like Carolyn mentioned, and the board members for the support I have received since taking this position. I also want to thank the Southern Kenton County and Independence community for rallying around us when we experienced some heartache this year. It was nice to have that support. Some changes we have made due to COVID have included multiple changes to our schedule and reassigning staff responsibilities. Although I read news reports that kids are behind because of COVID, what I can confidently say is that our teachers and students are light years ahead of where they would have otherwise been in the terms of technology use and using technology to learn, a skill that's going to stay with them whatever path they choose after high school. I also have had many parents speak positively about the way Kenton County has handled this hybrid model, and the way we have gone about this has made it easier for me to serve our kids. We get a kid that's quarantined, it's next day they're still in class just on the computer, and it's worked out a lot easier that way than what I've heard from some other districts. Regarding our CERT scores, we have had more 11th grade students at benchmark in all 4 of the tested areas than we did last year, including almost 18% more students, 11th grade students in math that are at benchmark compared to fall of 2019. But despite these good numbers that we saw for our juniors, we are not resting on that. We did create a position of a reading intervention specialist to increase the teaching of reading across the entire curriculum. This is something that's pretty rare for high schools. She has already worked with all of our English teachers and our social studies teachers and our science teachers to increase their ability to teach reading within the content areas. We are actively working to provide supports for our 10th grade students in math after receiving their cert scores from the fall. For graduation rate, our 4-year graduation rate increased slightly and our 5-year graduation rate decreased slightly, but overall our graduation rate remained a very high rate of 95.6. We are implementing a couple of strategies to ensure that this number increases. One of these strategies is a monthly review of all students in each graduation cohort to ensure all students who have walked through our door at some point are accounted for and are on track for graduation or otherwise successfully transferred to another school.
Half.
For transition readiness, about 72% of our kids were college ready to having qualifying scores in ELA and STEM. We are increasing the number of students in career readiness programs, including our STNA class, which you guys approved, logistics pathway course, and other programs in partnership with gateways or other organizations. I've also had several teachers implement interventions with our seniors to prepare them for Coyote tests, and we've expanded this program to even more staff members this school year. Our impact survey showed great ratings in managing student behavior, school leadership, and staff leadership relationship, all above the state average ratings, which is good to see. We are working diligently to make sure our coaching and feedback process is more meaningful for our teachers, including expanding teacher-to-teacher feedback being used more frequently, especially in PLCs. Similarly, the Quality School Climate Survey showed that 95% of our students say their teachers have high expectations. 94% reported that there's a caring adult who will listen to them, and 82% said that Simon Kenton is a caring place. Those are all really high numbers for high schools, which I was happy to see because that's actually coming from our kids. We are working very hard to increase those already favorable ratings in order to address cultural differences, senses of belonging, and disagreeing with one another in appropriate ways. Our Terrace metrics data showed that 0 students reported frequent victimization, such as bullying, and our students rated Simon Kenton as a positive school experience at ratings well above their historical averages.
1 minute.
While students did report poor social connections and lack of social resiliency in some cases, mostly due to pandemic issues, we have developed SEL lessons to address these areas of concern. I am very happy that Simon Kenton is a place where people want to be. That's evidenced by the number of students who open enroll and pay tuition to come here. I attribute this to our family atmosphere where we can have 2,000 students and staff and their families share a common vision of what's best for all kids. Overall, I'm very proud of the job that my staff has done, and all of the areas that we might not have as high ratings as we would have liked are being addressed by MTSS implementation, data tracking systems, and new opportunities in our course guide, and I'm excited to see where we are after this school year. Once again, thank you all first for entrusting me with our students and leading this building, and thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good job. Next, we have Turkey Foot. We'll move to our middle schools. Turkey Foot, Holly Spritsky.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
There you are.
Hello. Thank you to Dr. Webb and the Board of Education for the continued support of Turkey Foot Middle School. Specifically, the addition of the technology instructional leaders has been instrumental in moving instruction forward for our students. In spite of the pandemic, our teachers and staff have taken on the role as a learner of technology, and they continue to grow. In order to best support our staff and students, we have increased the amount of professional development around the area of technology integration and the SMAR model. This has allowed our teachers to continue as lifelong learners and best engage our students with the academic standards. Our staff student community have been supportive as we make changes to instruction in order to help our students and staff remain safe. Some measures we've incorporated include social distancing, wearing a mask, mask breaks, alternate locations for lunch and classes, and model changes to fit the ever-changing needs of our students and families. We have seen an increase in our MAP longitudinal growth in 3 out of our 4 areas, which has led to an increase of 15% of students reaching reading and math proficiencies. In order to improve our growth areas, we continue to use data from our PPR walks to determine instructional focuses for our monthly PLCs. I am so grateful for my administrative team. We have worked hard with the help of Mr. Chavez and Mr. Idesdale to ensure our feedback is aligned. This is important for teachers to hear consistent, actionable feedback so learning can move forward for our students. Math is also an area of concern on our common assessment results. In order to increase student achievement in math, we have developed monthly special education PLCs. During this time, regular ed teachers, special ed caseload managers, and administration analyze IEP goal data along with common assessment data to measure students' path to proficiency. This process has led to our team calling mini ARCs to meet the needs of our students. We also have grade level content PLCs. This process started last year and we continue to strengthen it. During this time, we look at our standards that our students are struggling with and how to incorporate it into ongoing instruction. The EL students at Turkeyfoot Middle School score extremely high in the area of listening. Through PPR, I have witnessed some amazing lessons around this topic. These lessons include the teachers eliciting responses from all students and using this data to drive instruction. In order to address our EL students who are special ed, we have monthly PLCs to discuss the progress of our EL students. We continue to analyze the data from interventions such as Power Up and Lexia to monitor the student progress. I'm excited to report that through our PBIS program, SEL curriculum, having some outstanding educators added to our already fantastic staff, we have worked to create a safe and welcoming environment for our students. This is reflected on our Terrace metrics data and our quality, climate, and safety survey. Our administrative team will continue to work to effectively communicate for our staff and community. To date, we have sent out over 72 newsletters and memos, posted non-urgent communications in Google Classrooms, and used data trends from Terrace metrics to form SEL lessons around the topic of resiliency. Our overall school proficiency continues to be above the district and national average, 66% in reading and 57% in math from the winter of 2020. We were named by as one of the best public middle schools based on test scores and academic performances this fall. With our recent grant, we have had the opportunity to work with Jenny Donahue from First Education to improve our overall teacher collective efficacy. Our current areas of strength include supportive leadership and embedded reflective practices. With input from teachers, leaders, we are continuing to switch our focus on mastery of goals opposed to performance goals. The staff at Turkeyfoot would like this to be the best plan of action to support our student motivation. Once again, I would like to take a minute to thank Dr. Webb and the board for their continued support of Turkeyfoot. The Pillars of Support was a great experience last year, and it has allowed the youth to develop traction in our process to improve student successes. We look forward to a continued partnership with the staff at Turkeyfoot Middle School and the district leadership team. I tell my staff daily, whenever I get a chance, that I would not want to go through this pandemic with any other group of professional, caring educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Good job. Next, from Woodland, we have Miss Christy Jeffords.
Good afternoon. Members of the board, Dr. Webb, and colleagues, I'm Christy Jeffords, a proud principal of Woodland Middle School. Thank you for your outstanding support as we've worked together through the many challenges we've encountered through the COVID-19 pandemic. I have to say that our teachers, staff, parents, and community have been extremely supportive and flexible, learning new skills and approaching all these challenges with a can-do, collaborative mindset. We've come a long way in terms of using technology, such as Google Meet, Google Classroom, and some of the add-ons and other programs that link up with them. And we got lots of support from the district to do that. So during the PGA, we had many trainings for our teachers and staff. We have collaborated well together, and we're really building our collective efficacy to learn new tools and better ways of incorporating technology into instruction. And our students and staff have just displayed an incredible growth mindset as we learn new ways of doing things in a dynamic environment while still providing high quality instruction to our students. So when we review our MAP and Common Assessment data, we took the fall 2020 MAP, and we were very happy to see that we increased in our math proficiency, which was above the district average, and we had an increase in our reading proficiency, almost 5 points. All of our teachers were trained in and will incorporate Kagan engagement structures. That was paid for through the CCEIS grant that came through the district. And we're using those structures to involve our students more in their learning, both online and in person. In order to continue making progress, we are going to regularly continue to review Tier 2 and Tier 3 math and reading RTI data during our PLCs using our new data dashboard, thanks to Joe Chavez, which contains our Common Assessment, MAP, RTI, and Special Ed IEP data to ensure that our interventions are having the desired impact on student achievement. And when they don't, we'll follow the Kenton County MTSS protocol to increase supports. Common assessments given in 1920 and so far in 2020-21 show we still have a large disability gap in both reading and math, and it's an average of about 27 points in all grade levels. We will continue providing training to regular and special education teachers on collaboration and co-teaching, and provide regular actionable feedback during learning walks to improve teacher performance. The nice thing about technology is it does allow our students with disabilities to use their accommodations like text readers right in the classroom in all subjects. We knew going into this year that SEL was going to be a huge priority. So when we reviewed our school culture and climate data, we were happy to see that 98% of our students know what to do in case of an emergency. The majority of them expected or stated that teachers expect them to do their best at all times, and they have an adult to go to with concerns. We wanted to increase our social emotional learning to a daily 20-minute lesson, and we use our second step anti-bullying curriculum. And that was important because 60% of our kids perceived that we had a bullying problem here at school. So we're focusing on building strong relationship with teachers and trusted adults as part of our adult advocate program. The adult advocates are the homeroom and SEL teachers, and our Sources of Strength group is leading a campaign on trusted adults. We're going to continue using Kagan structures because not only does it engage our students, it teaches them cooperation, respect, and social skills. And learning about one another and how to work together is a key aspect of parts of decreasing bullying. Another big part of that is working with Make It Plain for diversity and inclusion training.
1 minute.
So our students showed an increase in ostracism, and that's understandable, being stuck at home trying to learn by yourself. So we wanted our students to understand how to make each other feel included, and the Make It Plain diversity training has been instrumental in that. So it's been a very positive experience. I just have to say I'm extremely proud of our teachers, staff, and students as they faced challenges this year with a growth mindset and their continued resiliency in the face of a frequently changing landscape during the COVID-19 pandemic. And once again, thank you to the Board of Education and to Dr. Webb and to all of the central office staff who have worked so hard to provide us with the support that we need to be successful this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Good job. Next, Twin Awful, Dr. Shannon Gross.
Good afternoon. I do have to ask, can you hear me and can you see me?
How are you? Hi, Shannon.
All right, I'm good. Thank you. I do want to say a big thank you to Dr. Webb, the school board, and Ms. Drysdale for their continued support. As always, if we ever need anything for the school, the only question that we really ever get is, does it help kids? Can it help you all instructionally? Can it help our kids from a mental health standpoint? And if we can answer yes, 99.9% of the times we receive what we need. So we do want to say thank you for that. That's not always the case. So in moving forward, just before I even get started on the report, really wanted to say thank you for all your support. A unique situation that we were thrown in starting March the 13th of 2020, like everyone else, is we were thrown in the midst of a pandemic. We were thrown in a situation where we had to start pretty much from scratch from an educational standpoint, and everything that we've known, we had to go back and recreate the wheel. But I will say one of the most proudest moments that I've witnessed during this time is just seeing the growth instructionally from our teachers. There's a lot of the times throughout the summer we will implement different PDs, or we will attend different conferences in order to get instructional growth. Nothing has done the amount of growth instructionally like our teachers working together with each other. I will say starting March, I think the 15th, when we all went NTI, there was a lot of panic. There was a lot of panic on how do you get Google Classroom set up? How do you use Google Meet? But with all the staff working together, and I will give a shout out to the middle school peers, all the other middle school principals, they've been an absolute phenomenal resource in asking questions and how do we move our teachers forward, or do any of your teachers know how to use this? So it's been awesome having that collegial dialogue. Ms. Drysdale, I can't say enough about her. What the amount of patience that she's had, I know especially with me, in getting everything set up and getting our teachers where they need to be and getting our kids accounted for. It's just been a tremendous effort on her behalf. So I do want to say, Ms. Drysdale, thank you. Instructionally, our staff, we have an amazing staff, but what they've accomplished between March the 13th and where they are today, it has been truly amazing. I know this past week, we were in a unique situation where we had to go virtual a week earlier than the majority of other schools. So we held a staff meeting that Friday afternoon, said, hey, starting Monday, I think November the 16th, here's the situation. We are going full synchronous virtual. Just a reminder, we need to record the first 15 to 20 or first 10 to 15 minutes of our instruction. Big thing, take care of each other. The other part, make sure your kids are logging in. There was no panic. You rewind a couple months ago, and it was a unique situation. The amount of growth that they've shown between March and where we are today, absolutely tremendous. One of the unique things we also learned from this is our new teachers. Our new teachers really adapted well to this scenario, as this is sort of their norm.
1 minute.
So in previous years, as we've had veteran teachers teaching our new teachers, the tide sort of shifted there, and our new teachers became the new to our old. A couple things in talking about specific areas of growth for our students. We know our students with IEPs. That's our major focus. The second thing, us providing as administrators specific feedback to our teachers on a monthly basis. That was a high priority area last year. I'm proud to say the first couple months of this school year, we have given every teacher instructional coaching feedback. That's a continuation. If we really want our teachers to grow, if we want our school to grow from a data point standpoint, we as administrators have to make that an area of focus. The next thing, thank you.
You don't need to get the duck.
Yeah.
I know, you did good, Shane.
Yes, very good. Good job. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Summit U, Leslie Smith.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hi, Les.
Save the best for last, right? So I'm Leslie Smith. This is my 22nd year in the Kenton County School District, also my 12th year as a principal, and my 6th year at Summit View Academy. Time sure does fly when you're having fun. Before I begin, I would like to thank Dr. Webb, Ms. Drysdale, and the Kenton County Board of Education for all you have done for our school and the school district, especially during this pandemic. I do want to talk about some of our instructional strategies that we've had to shift during the pandemic this year. We knew that when we started NTI in March, and then it lasted through the end of the school year, that we were going to have to continue our summer learning program that we've had in the past. We know that it was challenging because it was not going to look like it has in the past, but I have phenomenal interventionists at Summit View Academy, and they took on the challenge and they created a plethora of instructional activities that students could participate in online. And then they also met with students virtually over the summer, which was outstanding. We also did hold our 6 to 8 students accountable by having them complete Edgenuity for those students who had not reached grade level standards. Another piece was our shift in technology. We've had a big focus of technology for the past 5 years, and I will say the majority of our teachers are proficient, but with the challenges we faced, many of our teachers still needed continued support. So we put together a technology leadership team that provided differentiated professional development to our teachers who needed that additional support. We're also very pleased to announce that we have over 30 staff members who are Google Level 1 and Level 2 trained, and that has provided an additional support network for our building. So we have a variety of people that are kind of go-to people when they have challenges. Also, when we looked at our MAP and Common Assessment data, we did see some overall increases in the area of reading, and then we did see some significant decreases in math. We're unique, as when we receive students in the 6th grade, we do have half of our students coming from Summit View, but we also have half of our students coming from other elementary schools. And it's very unique, as we typically do see a drop in our data. And right now, when we look at our MAP data for our 6th graders in the area of math, that is an area of concern and growth. So we have put in place, we're going to utilize Khan Academy mappers with our staff, and we're actually going to utilize that in grades 2 through 8. You can input the overall MAP score, and you can also input the subcategories, and it creates a learning path for our students. So this is a strategy that we're going to be using during our Royals Win Time, which is our intervention block. We had some 7th grade teachers use this in the past, and they were able to see some huge gains with their students on the MAP assessment and then on their common assessments. We also are going to try to utilize Do the Math with more fidelity across the school for Tier 2 and Tier 3. With math being a focus, we want to make sure that we are in classrooms at least one time per month, observing math and giving quality feedback. One area that we're really focusing on is making sure students are producing an individual product, and also making sure that teachers are formatively assessing multiple times. We also are getting ready to do what we're calling a data dig with our MAP and our common assessment data, where teachers really have an opportunity to look at that data, analyze it, and then make plans for their students based on not only their grade level, but also the content area that they teach. Special education continues to be an area of growth across the board. We're going to continue providing, specific feedback when we're in the classrooms for walk, but we've also added an additional component on our data notebook that we use. We've added an area where we're now monitoring our progress monitoring data for our IEP goals and objectives. And so this is something new that we can really look at across the board, not only looking at the formative and summative data in the classroom, but then how does that correlate to their IEP data as well. We're pleased to report that 95% of our students indicated that they have had a positive school experience. That makes me a very proud principal that we are putting in place opportunities for kids where they want to be at school. One area in our quality school climate and safety survey that the students answered was that often there can be some issues with bullying being involved online. So that's something that we really want to talk about with our SRO and also incorporate through our SEL and with our school counselors. 5 years ago, when we became one school with a focus on STEAM, one of the areas of focus for us was to make sure that we had technology that was equitable across the school building and also to improve in technology integration. And I am pleased to announce that all of our students right now do have a device in their hands. It's made the transition to NTI and virtual instruction seamless. There definitely have been bumps in the road, but having our students with devices that are working appropriately, has been something that we're very pleased about. Also, I would like to thank the district for the funding that we've received to implement Kagan win-win discipline. We were able to do that professional development session before school started. Really focused on student need and also our Make It Plain. We're in the process of having those presenters come in to provide training for diversity and inclusion. Again, thank you for your continued support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Good job to all of our secondary leaders. At this time, we'll open it up for questions from our board members.
Simon Kenton's graduation rate was 95.6. We asked the other two what theirs was.
Yes. So high school principals, can you share your graduation rates? You're muted, Nate.
At Dixie, we were just under our goal, 94.1. However, if you factor in our, I think it was 94.6. I think if you factor in, we had 5 students on alternate assessments that do count as non-graduates. If you take them out of the picture, then we were over a 95.2, I believe.
Carolyn?
Yeah, Scott, our 4-year graduation rate was at 89.7, but the 4-5-year combined was 91.4. And again, we had alternate assessment kids in there as well.
How many?
How many did you have?
4.
Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, I just think I think it's a tragedy that those alternate assessments do not count towards graduation. Those kids are meeting their requirements. They're meeting their track, but that's a federal issue, not a state issue. Other questions?
This was a question I asked at elementary too, but with student interaction, how is that working at the high school level? Someone in elementary mentioned breakout rooms. Is there something similar happening at the middle and high school levels?
So I'll just repeat the question, same question that was asked for the elementaries. How are you all ensuring engagement of kids, not only to content to teachers, but also peer-to-peer during instruction?
I'll go ahead. The breakout rooms in Google Classroom have made a difference this year. That was not available at the beginning of the year, but now it is. And that's one of the ways that we've had kids in small groups. And I was able to watch one of my teachers using this like the week it came out, and they're way better than I am. And they went through and they had 5 groups in the classroom. They went and made sure that those students were having discussions with each other, groups of 2 to 4 students in there. So they do have some ability to do that. Outside of that, we've also had our clubs meeting virtually. We've able to have a couple of in-person meetings, but obviously that's out now, so everything's been switched to virtual. But we are still trying to pursue ways to get those extracurricular activities and those student interactions to be part of their everyday experience with school.
And there are some very cool technology tools out there that we've experienced and learned about as we've gone on this journey. You might have heard Pear Deck mentioned. You might have heard Whiteboard, like Whiteboard Fi, also Nearpod. Those are things, and Jamboard is part of Google Meets. That way the teachers can see in real time when the kids are responding, and there's multiple ways they can respond. So it's a good way to have, like what Ms. Smith said about getting a product for every student. It's something where the teachers can have all the kids participating, they're all engaged in the lesson, and the teachers can also give feedback in real time so that they can adjust the instruction to meet the needs of the kids. It's really cool.
That's great. Good thinking. Yes. Tell Carolyn and Craig they did good for the first time too.
Yes, all of our principals for the first time. You've done excellent today. Great job.
Thank you very much.
How are,
Thank you.
in the middle of high school, some big transition grades in 6th and 9th. how are those kids doing currently with, you know, they ended their last year virtually, they started it this year, they're back. I mean, these are big transition grades. So how are they?
Yeah, great question. So how are the transition grades doing in middle and high, 6 and 9? You know, obviously that's a big transition. I always said ninth graders were interesting, especially until they at the end of that first semester. So how's the transition going in this environment?
I can add that I'm lucky here at Turkeyfoot to have an amazing sixth grade staff, but it is a hard transition for sixth graders because we are really increasing the amount of technology that we use within the classroom. So a lot of that has come from our teachers being very patient with the students, going over the expectations for the technology and how to use it. So that has been where most of the time is spent helping our students transition, is getting them used to the technology.
What about the ninth graders?
And I think some of our kiddos, when we came in off of our first month of NTI, that's when I saw that our sixth graders were really anxious because they were coming into the building for the first time. So we just made sure we communicated out to the families that we're going to be there, we're standing by, we're going to help the kids, we won't let them get lost. And, you know, I think we're in a very highly structured mode right now. So that really helped to provide the structure that made the kids feel very secure and safe at school. And they've adjusted now very, very well. They're doing great.
Wonderful. How about some ninth grade?
I'll say Scott, sorry, Greg. At Scott, I think that is a concern of ours. I think our ninth graders are struggling a little bit more than the rest of our kids. We can't deny that at all, but we've really tried. Even so at Scott, you know, we've on trimesters, we just started our second trimester. That's one of the things we've done. We've kind of gone back and done a little bit of a restart with our ninth grade classes in terms of really reviewing the expectations once again, going over the use of the technology, making sure everyone's on board, you know, and really focusing on the kids that are really struggling across the board and what additional interventions can we put in place for them. Are we making contact with home, making sure that we've got two-way communication in some way. The ones that we haven't, we've been doing a tremendous amount of home visits, just trying to reach them in any way possible. But yeah, it is a concern. It has been a difficult transition for many of our ninth graders.
Thank you.
I was thankful that our ninth graders, more of them chose to come in person than any of the other classes by far. So we did get our eyes on them a little bit quicker. And then the ones that did choose to stay home, most of them picked the synchronous model. So while their failure rates are a little bit higher for the first quarter than they were last year, the good news is we got some time to get them kind of picked back up, and we've got some interventions in place and some other things for those kids to get them back on track at this point.
I would concur with what they said. You know, the transition kind of caught when we were synchronously at first, and then they started coming in person. We had some ambassadors, upperclassmen that were here in the hallways to kind of help give directions, because that was one thing, they hadn't been in the building at all. So we had a few calls from parents that were concerned about that. And so that really helped with that getting in school and transition there. Our failure numbers for our freshmen is a little bit higher after our first trimester. And looking at that, we actually, the numbers who failed just one class went up, but the ones who failed multiple classes did not, actually went down in a couple areas. So we feel like we're supporting them well, but everybody, all of our numbers are higher, so we're still adjusting to how to best serve all our students.
Wonderful. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Sure.
It seemed like, and I could be wrong, I read through all the data and then I'm talking today, that math seems to be served in math a bit of an issue still. And I know we have some great math instruction. Are we seeing anything specifically on in certain math specific skills that we're struggling with across the board, or just kind of?
Yeah, great question. But yeah, the map and certain math specifically served as an issue. So the question is, you know, when viewing the data with MAP and CERT, math seems to be an issue for us right now. are there certain areas in math that is more problematic than others content, or is it just overall right now?
I can speak a little bit to that for the high school level. We have a bunch of middle schools that feed into us, and we recently purchased a program called Alex. And the students take an initial assessment when they enter high school. And I think that what we're seeing is that the retention of information from 8th grade to 9th grade is definitely something that we would like to target. I know we've spent a lot of time reviewing, and it's probably not the best year to judge it since they weren't in middle school for a couple of months right there at the end. But I think retention of math skills in general is something to focus on.
I think another thing on the CERT is it's Algebra 2 heavy. A lot of times Algebra 2 is not going to be until we get the junior level. So we see a dip in the sophomore CERT. Part of that is most of them are in geometry, but the numbers are much better when you look at your junior numbers, specifically in math, in terms of being those benchmarks. So we got to kind of take that because the CERT measures over what an ACT would, but some kids haven't even learned that content yet. And so that skews the numbers early on in the 9th grade and 10th grade year.
And our 10th grade was definitely the group that was, they're always the lowest, but that pattern held this year, which is why I chose to look at the juniors who have had a little bit more of that opportunity to look at some of that content and what I put in my slides for the board report, because those are the kids closest to taking that college entrance exam for college readiness. But typically by the time they get through Algebra 2, they are getting at or near benchmark.
And I think when we look at math in particular, there are so many foundational skills, and math builds upon, concepts. And starting in March, where we didn't have a whole lot of new content being taught, we knew that gap was going to be there. So right now, our teachers are, challenged with not only teaching the content for their grade level standards, but then also filling in those gaps. And so finding the time and making sure, in those opportunities where we have interventions to really try to fill those gaps, or it's going to be a continuous problem. So for us, it's really some of just those foundational skills that we're seeing those gaps with.
And I agree with Leslie. We actually are also implementing the Khan Academy mappers at Woodland. And we just feel that the kids have been away from math for a while, and it's easy for them to lose those skills if they haven't had the practice. So we're going to have all the kids in our school using the Khan Academy mappers as part of our RTI/WIN, which stands for What I Need, intervention block every day. We're going to have every student work on it at least twice a week so that we can kind of shore up those math skills and fill up any gaps that they might have had from last year.
So just 2 quick points. One, full transparency, I share with our team all the time. While I understand map and CERT and I can live with it, I'm not a huge fan because of what Nate shared. They do not test what we are currently teaching. It's an overall test, and if your kid hasn't had access to that content, they're obviously going to struggle. However, correct me if I'm wrong, team online, teachers do a pretty good job of identifying what we've taught and reviewing that data for individual kids versus just blanket making decisions or thoughts on the overall data. Would you concur that our teachers break it down by individual skills and content we've taught and do a pretty good job with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we really do is focus on growth too for those kids, and look at the kids that are growing versus those that are kind of stagnant, and really hone in on the kids that are not growing as quickly as we would like them to.
Yeah, it's really a predictive test more than anything. And so you all have done a great job taking that data and making growth. So continue to do that and just keep up that good work.
How did our AP, the students doing AP tests differently last year? How did our AP scores, how are our students doing?
So you high school folks, AP exams, I know our percentage of completion of the classes was extremely high. I think it was around 95%. How were the AP test results compared to the year before?
Ours were affected slightly by it negatively. But really what happened is they had to switch to an online model, which AP was developing within days of them taking the test. So we did get the kids through and took it. We have plenty of them that did complete it with the 3 or higher. It's not the percentages we would have wanted, but I think the kids, given what they went through, did the best job they could with it. And it's not the numbers we wanted, but they did have some kids with success.
Pretty similar, Dixie and Scott? Okay.
Yes.
I know, just one last one.
Oh, sure.
We talked, and I asked this in the elementary school too, and Dr. Roy just mentioned it a little bit about adult advocates for each student. So how are we doing that in the middle and high school level? I know that's been a focus for a number of years, and I believe Dr. White, you mentioned someone follows the student through the whole tenure at Ignite. So how are we doing that at middle and high school as these students? Because in elementary they have a homeroom teacher that they stick with, but obviously in middle and high they're moving around quite a bit.
So the question's virtually the same we asked earlier. Obviously at the elementary level, there's some self-contained rooms, and there's it's easier to have for students to have an adult advocate. When we get to the secondary schools, middle and high, and she referenced, Dr. Whitus, you having an adult kind of assigned to students throughout their career there. But how are we at the secondary level making sure we have an adult advocate or somebody these kids can go to on a regular basis?
So it's,
Go ahead, Dr. Gross.
are you sure? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll say at Scott, we're utilizing our fly for that. So the students that are assigned to their fly groups are in that same group all 4 years with that same teacher. And so that's one drawback of a trimester schedule is you have a whole new schedule every 12 weeks. So one of the reasons why we started flying to begin with and is to have that consistency and to be able to build a consistent adult advocate. And so increasing that time from once a week to 5 days a week, I think even helps bolster that even more. And so that is their adult advocate is their fly teacher. The only exception to that is we do also have a lot of mentors in our building. And so almost every one of our teachers are also mentoring a student. And we've tried to specifically target high-risk students to receive mentors. So we kind of have a twofold plan there.
Wonderful. Dr. Cross?
Sorry about that. So for Twin Alpha Middle School, we have through Choose Love, all homeroom teachers are an advocate for their kids. But then we go ahead and we look at, okay, what kids are not in an after-school activity, what kids are not performing in a club or some type of sport. And then what we will have our staff will do, we call it our Adopt or Bred program. And so our staff will give them a specific list of kids. We'll have them choose 3 to 5 kids. They're not to single those kids out in any way from a negative standpoint, or they're not going to say, hey, I've adopted you. But the goal is at least once a week, make some type of positive interaction with that kid. It could be from I noticed you were absent yesterday, or I heard you did really good on this test, or we missed you. It's just everyone school-wide, homeroom teachers advocate, but we also take it to that next group of kids. Those that are not intertwined within our community some way, either from a club or an athletic team, we do try to make sure that they have a positive experience with an adult.
Great. Other questions? Okay. So before we let you all go, I want to say thank you on behalf of all of us for your incredible work and your time today. I want to thank you for your outstanding presentations. But I want to thank you for sharing the collective efficacy. I know this is a great opportunity to hear from each other. I'm sitting here thinking, I heard wonderful things from multiple principals, and I know you are stealing from each other all the time, and that collective efficacy is definitely key. I want to thank you for bragging on your teams. We even mentioned the we can attitude. That was mentioned several times. But more importantly, I just want to thank you for being outstanding leaders, because all the wonderful things you were saying about your teams, classified and certified all across this district, is a direct reflection of your outstanding leadership. So on behalf of our board, we thank you for your leadership and thank you for your time today.
It was outstanding. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all very much.
Thank you for the board for listening to all of us all day long too. It was very nice of you all.
Very informative. Thank you.
Yes, you all have a great evening and keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.